Yeah, let's see. That should work. Got it. All right, we got it to work. Pop out. Okay, put up there. Push this over here. Or so. No. No. Okay, there's that. There's that. I'm gonna do this real quick while I do work. Okay. How many I got? How long is this one? Sounds good.
Angela Robbins. He's looking mighty handsome.
I might redo it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I might just redo it. I might just redo it. Not even kidding. I may redo it. Part of me feels like I should redo it. It kind of looks too... not the standards that I want it to be. So I might redo the whole thing. Okay, put over here. Since I'm not gonna be playing no music. Oh. Alright. Like that. Put this over here.
Ariane. Is he that bad looking?
Yeah, to me. I like to give quality to my customers. I don't like give them like generic mediocre looking work. And if I can look at it again and it looks like mediocre work, I don't want to give it to them. I want to redo it. I wouldn't give you something that I wouldn't pay for. That's just me, but just mediocre work at that point. Okay. Yeah, I might redo it. Okay, high chance of
Ariane. That's nice of you, Teach.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's what I do. Okay, so for those of you who are here, hello everyone, my name is Artexrtic. For those who don't know, I am an anime artist, also character designer and training, and also an art teacher, online art teacher. We're gonna be doing some reactions real quick, so I might as well get over here and jump over here if you want. I'm gonna redo this drawing. Oops. I'm gonna redo this. Really? Fucking stupid. Okay, let me see.
Oh my god, it's corn.
Hey, thank you, Felix. Didn't see that coming. Alright, so I'm gonna redo the drawing here. I wanna see if I can do a better job at it. Let me see. Because at first he was giving me such a hard time when I was doing it, but I'm understanding how to draw Gojo a little bit more better. Yeah, I think that would be best. Okay. So thank you for the GG. I do appreciate it very much. So, alright. So let's get this party started. Alright, for those who don't know, if you want to be part of the videos, come over here on YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, or Kick. Or Facebook. Or even Twitter. We're on Twitter as well. So if Twitter's your thing, you can go over here too. You can watch it from Twitter. We're going to do reactions of what's going on. So here on Clownfish TV, for those who don't know, who knows who those are a Mama Pop channel who talks about pop culture stuff that's going on in the entertainment sphere. So Clownfish TV on YouTube says DC Comics triggers an AI art witch hunt. So apparently there's something going on in the online sphere, pretty much Twitter, I'm pretty sure, is they're going after people who are doing AI artwork and passing it off as if it is true artwork, like it was made by a human. Apparently that's not the case. So let's see what they're going to say. So if you want to hear what they have to say, come over here on Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter. You won't be able to hear on TikTok because TikTok's a pansy and don't like to hear anything controversial in the slightest. So if you want to, jump over here.
Says I see.
So it's on. If you don't know where to find it, link in bio. If you want to watch the video with us, and we'll be giving our 2 cents. This video will be on YouTube. So if you want to give your 2 cents on the subject, we will do that. All right, let's do it. Oh, I forgot.
Says all right.
Okay. 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 Well, it's gonna like, but this is what's gonna happen in the if you're gonna go for school for art. What they're gonna have to do is you having digital art won't be good enough.
Says they are really fascinated with that stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, they. I don't know what. No, it's really it's 2 things that's happening. So it's untalented people who don't have the time or don't want to put in the time into art and pass off of their own. They're worse than tracers because with people who trace, at least they're putting at least somewhat a form of effort of doing whatever the hell they're doing, right? But like with something with AI art, you can just literally write a prompt and call yourself an artist. That doesn't make any sense. That's like saying because I read, I gave the robot a bunch of ingredients to make pizza. Does that make me a chef? No, you're just an assistant, if anything, or accomplice. But you're no close to a chef. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a robot that makes the food, are you the chef? No.
It's worse than laziness if we're going to be blunt about it.
Yes, it is extremely lazy. It's beyond lazy. It's the definition of being slothful. Like it is what it is. And then when people try to pass it off as their work, then that's the issue right there. So yeah, I don't think AI art is real art. It's a ends to a means, if anything, but it is not real art. It's not made by the human hand. There is no creativity behind it. There's no passion behind it. There's nothing. You can call it art if you like. Go ahead because it looks pretty to you. For those who don't have time to imagine a fleet of armored military ZP howling down your street with screaming V8 engines. That's terrible. Hey, Bri. Bro, we're doing reactions right now, bro. So you can jump over here on Twitch if you like, or YouTube, whatever you prefer. YouTube, Twitch, Kick.
It's computer generated, but that's about it.
Yeah.
TBH, I call AI art fake art, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's fake art for good reason. So yeah, I don't consider yourself the artist when the robot did all the work anyway. And it's not even doing work, it literally just copies whatever it can just make up. So it's not like it has to put in the work to do it. It just instantly knows. It's like saying, are you smart because you use a calculator, or are you smart did you use your brain? You know what I'm saying? Now, there's some things that you can't do as a human mind. You can't just remember certain numbers and stuff for a very long time, or a string of numbers. That's fine. But when it comes to like basic math, like 2 plus 2 or 5 times 6 or something like that, you should at least know how to do that.
Robot equals false work.
Exactly. That's
that's
technically what it is.
Yo.
So that's ultimately the callus of this. So yeah, I don't think it's right for AI art to even be called art. It's just not art.
Ryo. WSG Ryaga. Ryaga Samurai. Sup Ryo. Ariane. I watched a video of how it's generated. You have to be very specific to get a decent AI-generated image. If you want my honest opinion, it's just a modified version of a computer. And they claim our stuff has advanced. In honesty, I feel like it's gone backwards more than it has forwards. Right.
It's gone backwards because it eliminates the human element, right? But it goes forwards because it saves time. Right, that's ultimately what this is. It's all about literal time. I don't even think it's about quality. So, like, let's use an example. So the person who made Hello Kitty was an old lady. I forgot her name, but she made Hello Kitty, right? And she said the reason why she made well, for her own reasons, but ultimately she kept it simplistic for a good reason. It makes it easier to like animate, easier to draw. It's literally like 4 or 5 shapes, and that's it. With the Hello Kitty character, right?
How much time does it save? What's it percentage of time it saves?
Well, a few seconds to a few minutes. It's not hours. It's not like you're baking an oven. It's like literally like when you type in a prompt, you can say Mickey Mouse wearing a cowboy hat. And then once you write that, it gives you like 4 different pictures on
good.
It gives you 4 different pictures like on of the prompt you wrote, so they know what Mickey Mouse looks like because it's an icon. So you think you get like 4 different versions, like a very hyper realistic version of Mickey, somewhere more a cartoony looking version, and Steamboat Willie probably will if you get real specific on it. But like 9 times out of 10, they're just gonna go with the most defaulted looking, most advanced looking, or the most updated looking version of Mickey, right? So whatever the prompt is. That's the problem, because like once you write that in, it becomes kind of, I want to say the word permanent, but
fair point.
It's a
TBH,
few
I don't know
seconds
what
to a minute.
About the AI.
I
think it's good, but also bad, to be completely blunt.
It's good because it saves so much time and effort to get just one thing done, depending on how high quality you want it to be. But it's bad because it takes away the human element, and also it puts people out of a job, depending on what it is. But this is the funny thing about how corporateness has gotten us brainwashed, because I don't think because Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon won't hire artists anymore, therefore there's a problem. There's 2 things that they don't realize, because even if they were to make an animated show or something, the AI is not going to have that human part like a Pixar. It can't make a Pixar video or movie that has that heart, not the bad ones. I'm talking about like the Toy Stories, the Incredibles. It won't have that human relatable element to it. It'll just conjure up a story with familiar looking designs from Pixar and just make up a character or make up a story in the most fastest, most accurate way possible. It's not going to make it seem like it. The one thing a computer can't do is replicate human emotion. It can replicate a human based on looks, but it cannot replicate the human emotion. That's one thing it lacks, no matter how much you can put the numbers in. I'm saying. What are you doing? We're doing a reaction. If you want to be part of the reaction, come over here on YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, Kick, and all that great stuff. We're having a discussion about the AI art problem that is we're talking about discussing on YouTube. This video will be on YouTube, so if you have a opinion or what case may be on it, you can come over here, YouTube, Twitch, and I'll read out your comment and all that great stuff. So yeah. Good sketch, looks awesome so far. It looks alright. I wouldn't say the best, but it's alright. Thank you.
I wonder if an AI could scan a human brain and study the way it works. That would be pretty incredible.
That would be pretty incredible. You know what? And this is the thing. Yeah, most people, 2 things are going to happen with the AI thing, right? There's gonna be people who care that it's AI art, and there's people who's not gonna care from a person or AI art, right? So would that part of the human element still stays? Because it's like saying, okay, knitting is out of date. No one knits. No one you personally know knits, but knitting still exists. There's
Says it'd be
people.
funny if you were drawing what AI looked like in human form while talking and watching about AI.
That's funny. That's funny. People sit there and think, oh, no one knits. Everyone uses the machine. Well, two things: most people can't afford a machine or advance one, or people don't have time to do, or people like to put in the time into their craft because that keeps them in that therapeutic stuff. So like when I'm doing artwork, it puts me in a therapeutic state where I'm doing artwork, I'm thinking, and I'm not really thinking, I'm more like reacting to whatever I'm doing and then making whatever decisions from that point on. Right? So like that's kind of like what people do. Like people still knit. People still do that to this day, even though there's machines that really exist that can do that for you. So like just be clear, just because the AI art exists doesn't mean people are just going to stop doing artwork. Maybe there will be not as much artists because they may get discouraged and they may use that as their example not, or their excuse not to pursue their artist career or their art abilities, or a case may be. That might be their reason, and it might be a legit reason, or in a strange way it may not. But then again, nothing's ever truly eliminated. It's just not as in demand as it used to be. That's what it is, depending on what technology exists. Now, I know a lot of people are going to sit there and be like, oh, they're going to take my job. Well, when you think about it, most of these corporate people are not even all that creative in the first place. That's why they hired you in the first place, right? Now, they just put in a prompt and get what they want. You're going to get a soulless thing that doesn't really have a lot. Because now people know what AI art looks like, right? You can kind of tell when you look at something like it kind of looks like AI art, and still can't figure out how to do hands somehow. To a certain extent, the hands still kind of, even when they're doing those video AI art prompt things, the fingers still are amalgamated like no one's business, right? It is what it is. So I don't think that's something that people should worry about too much. Because
AI art, depending on what is generated, gives me the creeps.
there are some very funny but extremely creepy AI art videos that's out there. You can type it in on YouTube. You get some nightmarish stuff that is really funny. I think the majority of them are really, really, really funny because they don't feel real at all, but they feel real at the same time. It's this uncanny valley thing that it does, right? But I don't think you guys should worry about AI art like that, because no matter how much it may be advanced, there's got to be people who just want that human element that's in it, right? Like, for instance, we can literally go to like a sword making factory. I'm pretty sure that exists, right? But there's still people who handcraft their swords, right?
The dude fighting an alligator.
Oh yeah, the black guy fighting the alligator thing, right? That's funny. That's funny as hell. You know, it walks on the uncanny valley, but it also walks on the like. There's ones of Steve Harvey being chased by demons. It almost looks kind of convincing, but you can kind of tell it's not Steve Harvey. It's like, okay, you know what AI art is gonna be? AI art is gonna be like video games, right? It doesn't matter how realistic it looks. You can kind of tell it's not real, right? Right, like let's use that. I don't know if anyone's seen that video of those puppies. Like it was a video of a dude who dressed like a pup or a dog in the park, and the dog costume looks pretty convincing if he was on all fours, right? But whenever he came across other dogs, the dogs instantly felt some form of uncanny valley, like something was not right with the costume, or something is not right with the dog that they was dealing with. Because there was that sixth sense that something was not right with the costume that was trying to present itself as a dog. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what AI art is going to be like. It's going to be so almost convincing, but not convincing enough to fool you too much. It might fool you on certain situations where it's like point conversation.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that. It looked like a bad transformation of a human body gone completely
You're wrong, yeah. It's kind of like that. So, hey Azure, what's going on, bro? what's funny about this whole AI thing, this actually bites more companies in the butt when you think, because the reason why is because since AI art can't not be copyrighted, you can use the AI art for any purpose. They can't come after you because it's not considered real art. So it would be really stupid on their behalf to actually get rid of their artists. Right? It would be really dumb on their behalf. You can't claim AI art as yours because it's not like, especially generated ones. You can't claim it as yours.
Arian. I cannot believe some people would even want to look like an animal, let alone go through the amount of surgeries.
Ask them furries.
Wish they'd learn those actions are irreversible.
Well, humans. We tend to walk down the line of stupid and amazing. Hey Ari. Hey Ari.
Says, hey, what's up?
Hey Hum, what's going on, Hum? How's life going on? You know what? Drawing streams like mine will blow up because now people can't sit there and say, "Oh, the artist's doing it like it's doing by himself. This probably AI generated." You can never come up to me and say my work is AI generated. It's always recorded, right? And this is what's going to happen now to get into art school. You have to record yourself doing the artwork from point A to point B. You have to be recording yourself now, because if you want to send a submission, there's going to be two options or several options now where you having a digital like portfolio isn't good enough. You have to prove to us that you're the original person who did it. And they're going to ask you for two things. You can record yourself doing the artwork from beginning to end of whatever portfolio you're doing for each piece of work, so we know you did it, right? You have to state your name, show your face, show your process, explain your process. I'm a drawer that have a YouTube called Fully. I draw people on this game, Roblox. I see. But like, you're gonna have to state your name, state your age, where you're from, this down the third, like a submission, like a literal, like if you're auditioning for X, Y, and Z, right? You have to state all this stuff so they know it's you, and then you have to record yourself doing it, and you can't. And what they're going to ask you to do is, if you're going to do this and send this to us, you cannot show yourself not doing it, or you can't walk away and not do it, because we need proof that you can do it, and explain your process so we know you're not full of crap or something. That's the next thing. Or if you don't want to record yourself, you have to do it on paper or something that has to do with nothing with digital. Like if it's going to be digital work, or even if you're submitting for digital work, you have to prove that you can at least draw or something to that point. That's what's going to happen. It's going to bring back doing pencil, paper, painting, all that stuff. You have to submit these things to your you can't put it on a flash drive and send it to your I want to say employer, but to your school or an employer maybe. You have to prove that you're legit. That's what's going to happen now. You can't just send a digital whatever and say that's you and X, Y, and Z, and they'll just go with it because there's no other or whatever website. They have to see, because it's going to get to a point where people can't tell the difference between AI art right now. Some people can't still, and that's fine because a lot of people are not out here studying AI art, but it's going to happen, right? So that's something, or that's a reality that most artists will just have to deal with and realize and have to live with. I can. Well, most cases I can. What are you drawing right now? I'm redoing a drawing of Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen, I was not too happy with the quality of how I was making it, so I'm redoing the drawing again. This is for a commission, so I don't like giving my
Says
customers...
I never really thought about that low.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about it, but and the thing is, I also say if they say for instance you're working for an animation studio, right, and they let you go because either they can't afford you or they're trying to downgrade, whatever their stupid reason is, they're not that creative without you, right? And if you're creative, if you're really a person who can think outside the box, who likes to express yourself in a way that makes you different from others, or just like to create your be creative to yourself with anyone or anything, you don't have to worry too much, because if you are really passionate about what you want to do, you can take your talents, start a Patreon or whatever case may be, tell your family and friends, whoever, that you're starting a project, right? And before you even do the project, even when you mention project, do the project yourself, see you can do it, see yourself doing it. Get something out of the way, get the project out, and put it as a demo out there for people to see their interest. Because one thing with kids and young people, I'm not saying that young people don't care about AI art coming from not people, but like usually people who are lazy and just don't care, if they like what they see, they will like it and they'll follow it. It doesn't matter even if it's AI or not, because that element still exists, that people just don't care, right? So people will buy AI art. AI art is like the foot fetish of today, right? People have feet. You don't have to go buy feet. You can literally type in feet in the Google and you get feet. But there's people buying feet pics. Don't make no sense, but they got their own feet. They can do that, but they don't want to do that. Maybe their feet is not attractive to theirs. I don't know. So they can always go on the Google, type in feet images, and there's thousands of different feet, but there's people buying feet. You know what I'm saying?
Samurai. LMAO.
I know that's not the best metaphor example, but think about it.
What about time lapses?
Or time lapses. You can do time lapses. I think people buy time lapses. I don't think they do, but it's possible. You can do time lapses, but time lapses, I'm not saying it could be replicated by AI, but I would still
Ryo.
Try to record yourself.
Why do I walk in on you saying stuff about feet skull?
I'm sorry, bro. That was just one of those moments where you hear me say something and saying out of context. It happens more than you think. Like feet pics, yeah. We in Central ISO think you're amazing. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh wait, I just realized. Did I press the button over there on TikTok? Why didn't I read? Oh no, I didn't read out your thing. Okay, I just realized. Yeah, so like when you stop and think about it, don't overthink it.
Ryo.
Don't overthink it.
If all things to come in on feet.
Jesus. But yeah, so like there's people buying things that they can generate on their own, but they won't do it. There's people who can really type in, like, get a subscription on...
Says people type in.
Yeah, there's people who can type in, like, feet whatever on, like, Midjourney and stuff and get all the feet they want, but they rather pay for it.
Says, do you think that if that becomes a thing for school, you think they'll accept time lapses?
Oh, perhaps. I'm not saying that they may not, but given how easy that may be easy for AI to replicate in the coming years. I wouldn't put it behind them if AI can actually replicate that, because it's not like it's just literally taking a drawing and just making it really fast and stuff like that. So like I wouldn't put it behind AI if it's capable of doing that in a couple of years, maybe even now for all I know. But if you're going to go to art school, I suggest just record yourself. And not only that, you don't have to even record yourself like that. You can send them your YouTube channel showing that you're doing it. So it's not like you're not BSing it because you're sitting there for hours drawing it. It'll be kind of stupid on their behalf and saying, well, no, this is AI generated. You sit there for 6 hours drawing this.
If schools do start doing that, I'll feel too nervous recording myself.
No, people do it all the time. You can literally take... Okay, I don't think they'll actually have to ask you for your physical face there or anything like that, but they're expecting you to like point A, point B type stuff.
Melodic Productions.
Because it's going to be really hard to like say, this is my drawing I did a time lapse of, or this is me doing a drawing on YouTube or Twitch or whatever the case may be, and it's 6 hours straight when you made an AI art. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. Most AI art takes a few minutes to a couple seconds. You know what I'm saying? So I think they'll accept that just fine if you record yourself like on YouTube, Twitch, whatever case may be, as a form of portfolio or something. But it's going to be a little more difficult for people who do digital. But if you do like pencil, paper, markers, or something that is traditional, they'll most likely accept you. It's a more guaranteed because it's hard for you to
Says people type in weird stuff on Google and Twitter.
Oh, you know, it is Twitter. It is Google. You know, it's the internet. It's kind of expected, you know?
Says at Melodic Productions, hi hum.
Just to be clear, for those who are here, we're doing a reactions on YouTube. So if you want to come over,
Says God, I haven't done traditional in years.
And be part of the video, because this will be on YouTube. You
Says
can come over here, listen to the conversation. We're doing a video on Clownfish TV. They're talking about DC comic triggers and AI art witch hunt. So people on some artists that have been using on DC's payroll has been using AI art, and now people are witch hunting them for using it. So that's what's going on. So if you guys want to be part of the conversation, come over here on YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, or whatever case may be. If you want to hear your comment,
says I was just watching that.
Weren't you? Oh, that's cool. See? So you can be part of the YouTube video if you want to be over here if you want to listen to it. If I'm silent, that means that we're literally listening to the YouTube video. Yes. Yes, I've kind of heard that the Wizard of the Coast has been using a bunch of AI art to do their cards or whatever the hell. It's kind of sad. It's really sad. And they're woke as hell curly too. Hair. You got curly hair? Yeah.
Says IDK, if I can do traditional, I rely so much on the blending tool.
I don't know if I can do traditional. I rely too much on the blending tool. See, this is why I always would say to students, do traditional first before you go digital. Digital, I can't talk today. Go to digital. Because if you do traditional first for a little bit, and then you go to digital, you'll see how much of a difference you got a little more easier compared to people who are traditional. And then you'll look at things more easier and get things done faster. But if you start off just on digital, it's going to look like a scary thing to do. Wow, that's sad.
Says I did used to do traditional, but then I turned to digital and got addicted to the blending tool.
Ah, I see. I see. It's funny how how AI art is the new tracing controversy. You know what I'm saying? That's technically what AI art has become now.
Says.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny how it's like I'd rather you just trace than actually do the AI art now, because you have to put the effort to go do that tracing nonsense now. Remember when back in the day when digital art became a thing and people said, you use digital art, you're not a real artist. Now digital artists and traditional art are shaking hands right now. Like digital art traditional are both friends now.
Gracie Ludwig. I am alive.
Says I always drew with a pencil and paper, but then I started digital coloring and used the blending.
Ultimately, I always think that traditional has always been better because it's just something's different compared to using
Says it Melodic Productions
doing
saying
digital stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, digital is so much easier to use because you don't have to worry about buying supplies, and that was usually the real reason why I stopped doing traditional, is just because it gets more pricey, especially if you want to do more insane specific stuff. So that was usually what it was for me. That was my real reason. I even made I think a drawmation on that very thing. So I would always say that traditional is still king in my book. Okay.
Says I was always addicted to buying sketchbooks.
Let me see.
Says I just add dark spots and rub it.
Dark spots.
Says I should try doing traditional again.
Should give it a try.
Gracie Ludwig.
I did, because back when my computer stopped working, I remember I did when my computer stopped working for a good 2 weeks. I did a traditional stream, and ironically, I had more people watch me do traditional streams than digital. I think I had 11.2K people watch me within that week.
Ryaga Samurai.
Doing traditional work.
I can't hear the video.
Oh no, I paused it. Or oh wait, hold up. No, don't tell me the whole time I was playing. Son of a. All right, we gotta do this over again. Okay. I'll put this part in. I don't know. Should I put this part in? I should put this part in.
Gracie Ludwig.
No one said anything. That's wild. No one said a damn thing.
Says I want to see your animation.
No, not animation, it was drawmation. Big difference.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish
Drawmation is
TV.
one of those
this is Neon,
TikTok
not here
videos
with
where
Geeky
it's not
Sparkles
really an animation,
in
but
this
it's more
video.
like
but I am
Says
going to
still
talk
frames.
about DC Comics and AI art and accusations that DC Comics is using AI art in its comic books.
model?
This was bound to happen. A lot of these companies looking to save money, a lot of artists experimenting with AI, or at least being open to the possibility of using it if it increases their workflow, gets them more gigs, whatever. A lot of readers and of course other artists vehemently against AI art. We're going to talk about it because
snap! I didn't see you guys. Hello, local. Okay, yeah. I subbed, and I wanted to let you know you have better skill than me. Oh, thank you. Hey, Vera. RTYN Zio. AI is the Kakashi of art. Yeah, copies. This is good prompt. Thank you, Sunset. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry I didn't see you guys there. There needs to be a notification thing for the YouTube Shorts thing. It's annoying.
I think what is going to happen is people are going to have to kind of prove that they're not using AI art.
Yeah, you got to prove
be
yourself
part of the
now
cool
from this
kids
point
club.
Says I really want to do
looks too
animation
good, it might
thumbnails
be
in my
AI,
sketchbook.
I guess. I guess the trick is to draw
Animation
worse.
thumbnails in my
If you draw worse, then people will not believe that AI did it, I guess. But yeah, I think we're going to have this discussion because the reality is a lot of these companies, they're just looking at the bottom line.
Says it why, but it
They
feels
don't
better
care where
doing
the
it
art came from. A lot
traditionally
of
than
consumers,
digitally.
I don't know if they care where the art came from.
Oh, well, I don't know why.
How it was produced.
Because
and
it's you.
Shitty.
Because the reason why it's better. The reason why is because it's you, and there's nothing else. There's no stabilization. There's no settings. There's no effect that's happening. It's literally you and the drawing. That's why it feels kind of like a nature thing. It's like when you walk on grass with your feet compared to wear with your shoes.
I know for a lot of artists to hear that, but the
or
average
walk on
consumer
sand. Let's
goes
say sand. It's like when you walk on sand with your feet compared when you're on like slippers or whatever.
The store, and they pick up a comic book, and it's got a cool cover. It's got the Joker on it, or Harley Quinn on it, or Batman, whatever. They're just looking at like, wow, that's a really cool piece of art. Same people that buy prints that are obviously copies at conventions. They don't care if it's the original artist or not. They don't care if this person's just scraping art off of the internet, and a lot of these print sales people do. They just know that's a really cool picture of Harley Quinn, and I'm going to pay $15 or $20 for it. And it's kind of the same with comics.
So weird.
Too,
I don't understand.
Again, we've got multiple tiers of consumers. So let's talk about this. I'm a little late to the party, but apparently there's been some movement on it, according to Rich Johnston over at Bleeding Cool. Everybody's kind of accusing everybody else of using AI.
Oh,
and
no.
I think you're going to have
Everyone's
to
using
start
the
proving
idea
it
of
now
like
that you're not using AI. So maybe draw streams will come
Says
back.
when I was 5 years old, I started
I used to do
drawing so
draw
good on
streams,
my
but I
walls.
thought they were boring as hell.
Nice.
Because like you want to watch somebody draw something for how many hours? I mean, it takes forever to draw stuff, and it's boring. It really is boring. And I don't want to talk to people when I'm drawing because I can't focus on drawing. But anyway, let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, no woohoos. This is a very serious situation in comics. So yeah, apparently this happened a couple of weeks ago, and I vaguely remember hearing about it. That James Leach, writer and designer James Leach, was questioning whether DC Comics was using AI-generated art. And that was about 2 weeks ago, and now things are ramping up, according to Rich Johnston.
All right, bro, do your thing. Thank you for coming.
Lots of people are against the use of AI art in comics, according to Rich Johnston. There are lawsuits against the main AI art generating companies as a result. That is also true. However, more and more companies seem open to it. Especially you get like Wizards of the Coast, which produces or historically has produced massive amounts of full color painted art for Magic and Dungeons and Dragons. They've been busted on several occasions now.
Thank you for the share.
Using AI art, and they're just like, whoopsie doopsie, we won't get caught next time. We won't use it for the final product. And then they just got rid of a whole bunch of people that are like, what the hell? What the hell? Consumers don't care where the art comes from. We're just going to fire up the art machines and go for it. So yeah, according to Rich, a couple of weeks ago, writer and designer James Leach accused Andrea Sorrento of using AI in recent issues of Batman.
Oh yeah.
At the same time.
Oh yeah, Wes did this video. Remember that? Wes talked about this very thing with the Batman AI thing. It's the same situation.
Andrea Sorrento posted on Instagram
a video showing a little
art process in one of the contested panels. Leach initially wrote, first off, there are the usual telltale signs, strange anatomy, errors. Human is unlikely to make.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, we did
kind of gives
this
me
video.
like Simon Bisley vibes here, but the weird hands, Joker being insanely ripped in one panel and wasting away in another. His wandering nipples. Is that a nipple down here? Or is that a bullet hole? Maybe it's a nipple. I don't know. The shift in style becomes more suspicious when you note there seems to be additions in a much more basic brush. Look at the repetition and shape on the large black stroke in the first image.
Wow.
Okay, well, they really tore this apart.
Yeah, they went hard on that. Oh, damn.
They really tore this apart.
Can't get away with this.
The image in particular feels like a prompt that's been modified to look Jokerish. Why the washboard abs, the ripped jeans, and the sneakers? Harley screams Joker. Smart move hiding the hands, though. Another thing that stands out is how low res the painted panels are compared to the rest of the art. So are they talking that some of the panels are paintings and some of them are AI?
Okay.
So this is Andrea Sorrento's response. So you can actually see the process. I think this is what is probably going to have to happen. Unfortunately. I mean, that just adds extra time as an artist. Like, do I really want to screen cap myself painting, drawing, everything?
Well, that's what most people do anyway.
Yeah, so apparently this is her.
That's what most people do anyway. Most artists can't just like, oh, I did an artwork and show it to people and then things go right. You usually have to show some form of proof in some strange way that you drew it, whether it's a time lapse, whether you recorded yourself on YouTube or Twitch or Trovo or Kick or whatever, whatever platform you're on. You're doing YouTube videos of you explaining your process, or you're doing a Patreon, something to a point. There's some form of you recording yourself or improving that you have some form of knowledge that either you made something or you know how to make something. So that's the only way to show legitimacy amongst artists these days. You don't have to be a content creator. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like it's not the same as like you in school and you drew something, or you tell people, your friends, you drew it, and they will just go with it because they're not going to care anyway. So like it's different when you're trying to prove it to your like employer or your like that school you're trying to go to, whatever the case may be.
Some have had to use watermarks or done by pencil, and other people accused them that their drawing was photocopied
or something like that. Yeah, that it's this is why this has been more of a can of worms for most people than it is a blessing. And like I said, this is going to destroy companies in itself, because if AI art is not considered copyrightable, because it really isn't, they're gonna have a hard time stopping people from using their stuff when they use AI. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if people started copywriting or trying to use the AI generated art from Wizard of the Coast, because they have used AI stuff to make X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't be surprised if people started doing that. And there's nothing that they probably can't do, because if they got generated and it's proven that they got generated,
says I like using AI art as references because sometimes I have a story for them, but I can't see a design.
It was going on a lot on TikTok a couple of years back, if I remember correctly. They even destroyed their art from paper to prove to people that the art was real and not fake.
Yeah, that's maddening after a while. Dang, only one guy watching you deserve more. Oh no, I have a bunch of people. I have 4 on, I think, TikTok. I have like a few on. I'm streaming to all platforms, not just one. So you may be the one on YouTube Shorts, but I have several on YouTube. Just regular YouTube streaming. You might be the one dude on YouTube Shorts. I have a few people on TikTok, where case may be. So like, yeah, it's like that. So like, I don't mind. I have some people on Trovo, Kick. It's a mix of things, and they stay where they want to be. So just to answer your response over there, Loss. I saw your comment there.
Him, her, doing this illustration. So, I mean, AI is not going to show you the process. AI is going to just give you the completed work. In response to these tweets gaining prominence on social media, James also looked at another panel. Here's a good example. Seemingly carefully painted art being modified in pretty rudimentary fashion, presumably because it didn't fit the intended purpose. Sharp outlines around the cut and paste hair in comparison to the brush strokes around it, the repeated elements. Twitter posted, or I'm sorry, Twitter poster,
investigating people,
who I cannot pronounce that name, I'm sorry, also posted their own experiments with AI software and got very similar results to the published panels. As soon as I saw those panels, it reeked of AI.
Wow! So people went to the AI one. I don't know if the same software they used or website or whatever. They typed in the same exact thing and got very similar results. Damn.
Test, and this is what Bing generated. It looks way too similar to his results.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
I don't know. One of these is an actual Batman panel made by an alleged renowned artist. The other is made by AI after I wrote a description. Well, actually, if anything,
that's crazy.
That should show you how freakishly good.
She said, I like using AI as a reference because sometimes I have a story for them, but I can't see a design. I don't know. I wouldn't. I always try to not to encourage my students to use AI art, not because it's not morally right. It's not about that. It's more like the issue with that is like sometimes the AI art will have very questionable anatomy, And it'll look convincing, but when you really pay attention, and this is what people are doing right now, like over here on this video, what we're watching and doing a reaction on. Neon just mentioned this very thing. They're talking about the Joker problem where they found AI art in a Batman comic, and the Joker anatomy is not making much sense. His nipples like somewhere off and stranged off, and some rib cages are off, or hands are off, or skin is off, or bone is off, or whatever case may be. That's why I would never use them as a form of reference. This is why I would use like real people. If the real people look too AI generated, I would use someone that exists, like a Demi Lovato or a Kanye West, or someone that exists as a form of a example for like clothing, poses, or a case may be. Someone that actually exists in some form. You couldn't even use yourself. That's a perfect example. But like, I would avoid using AI art. I get what you're trying to do, but like, I would avoid it as best as I could.
I don't use AI cause they show things incorrect.
Yeah, they usually do.
If I use an actual human, I can draw them looking more natural and bend them in the way a human would, whereas AI makes them look like they had plastic surgery or a Barbie doll.
Yeah, I think last time, I think it was a couple months ago, months ago, I think you was doing a artwork you wanted me to look over, and I realized not only there was, not the artwork you did was generated, but I know the reference you used was a generated artwork for an anime girl. I forgot which one it was. And I realized that the reference was not accurate based on the anatomy placement and positioning. It was just really off-putting. That's why you was having such a hard time, and I had to point it out. Thank God I did, because if you did, you would have not only just learned a bad habit, but like it would have caused so much headache on your behalf trying to get it right when it was not even right in the first place.
There are only a few AI that look somewhat human-like and somewhat AI generated.
Yeah, but it's usually the smallest details that usually get you.
Good AI is getting that it's very hard to tell. I mean, that's what that tells me, is like it's very hard to tell if the art is AI or hand drawn or digitally painted or whatever. And that is a cause for concern. You know, I think for artists, because it's like, well, wait a second. If the end result is damn near identical, then what is stopping these companies from replacing us? And that's a good question. Leach added, as this reached a wide audience, I didn't voice this kind of suspicion lightly. I know it's a big deal. Yeah, you're accusing somebody else of faking it.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much plagiarizing.
I know people have been wrongly accused before. That has actually happened. That's why I spent time researching after someone raised the possibility and poured.
You know what's the problem with this whole AI thing? It doesn't stop with the whole like internet thing. It never stops with the art thing, because if it becomes more prevalent that it's okay to use AI all the time, how can you tell if someone who wrote a paper? You know what I'm saying? Right? The more this thing becomes accepted, the more generosity of things won't. It will make it more expensive, but yet more problematic to identify.
3 issues separately. Some of these points could be dismissed. It's the fact that all different telltale signs stack up together with modifications that suggest the artist did not create the base artwork, with multiple artists also facing AI allegations recently. It's clear comics companies need to have a checking process in place if they want to make a stand for actual artists. That's a big if. Again, I think that AI being integrated into comic book production is a given. I think that it's going to mean more to some readers, some collectors, and definitely more artists. And so far, most of the people that have the aversion to AI are artists, because it is their livelihoods on the line. You know, it really is. I mean, again, if you can crank out moldable full color Batman graphic novels per month, you know, in the same amount of time and the same budget it would take to do one, the company being the company and looking to make profit is absolutely positively going to do that. They're going to do that. They're going to be like, well, geez, we can have 10 Batman comics, or we can have one Batman comic, and the consumers aren't really going to care. The average consumer isn't going to care. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to pore over every panel and be like, is this Live, or is it Memorex? But
Memorex?
Normies probably won't care. They'll just look at it and be like, it's a pretty cool Batman cover. That's some pretty cool art. I'm going to pick this up. And that's the unfortunate truth. I'm not justifying it. I want to be very clear. I'm just saying the thought process is we can get more bang for the buck. We can get more bucks.
I appreciate it.
With AI. That's what all these companies, we can get more articles. We can get more artwork. And does it devalue individual artists and writers? Absolutely it does. Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. Are they going to fight for you? Probably not. They're going to fight for the bottom line. They're going to fight for their shareholders. That's what they're going to fight for. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I really don't know what the future of this is going to look like. The world is changing. It's only going to get harder to tell. That's true. Spokesperson told DC Comics in Indy 100, which is this publication right here, Harry Fletcher did an article on it, that they have long-standing policies in place that all artwork must be the artist's original art. We're looking into the specifics of the situation. Okay. DC Comics have told me nothing else since. This is not an isolated concern. There's a Tumblr user asking about...
I wonder if some of these AI-generated stuff like Batman is generated from a company, or if the gaming company who used the AI to generate Batman was done on a LEAI generation website online.
What do you mean? What? Elaborate. I'm not really sure what you mean by that.
Recent Power Girl covers for DC Comics. And apparently the artist, they said, look, it looks fine. If you look, you can see inconsistencies, yada, yada, yada. But apparently this artist broke it down too and showed their sketches. So, you know what I'm saying? It's going to get really, really hard to tell. And I think we're going to see kind of a digital witch hunt go on. I think that we're going to see artists basically poring over other artists' work to see if there's any digital tomfoolery going on. And this kind of used to be the case when
stuff you can make
people
like
started using
AI image by using an AI
digital
generator
tablets
on an online website.
No, I get what you mean, but like I'm talking about the Batman thing you meant. I was lost on that one.
And Photoshop. I remember that wasn't real art either, and you had to show that you were actually drawing stuff, that you weren't, cheating or tracing or whatever. And now we've moved into AI, but you can see, these are real sketches. So this artist did not use AI, but people are going to assume it is AI if there's anything weird about it, even if the artist made a mistake or didn't draw something right or it looks too good. Jordan Jabroni posted his own observations that DC Comics and Dorling Kindersley are using AI.
Be a support hero today.
I think the only thing that most will resolve most
/donation and /cash app
will resolve most artists now. They just have to record themselves doing the work. That's the only way to just like kind of justify that you drew it to most people. That's just literally the sad sack of this. You can't just like do an artwork like that these days and just like post it and people will just run with it and say, oh, that's great artwork, I like it, I really like your stuff, blah, blah, blah. You have to prove that you did it. So 9 times out of 10 you may have to just like record yourself 90% of the time drawing everything at that point to justify whatever artwork, whether it's a fan art or something original, so people can't accuse you. Because these Twitter people, they have nothing better to do. But then again, Elon Musk is thinking about charging you for tweeting. So these people won't have time to witch hunt you at all. Because they'll be too broke to be on Twitter. So like it kind of like evens out from that point conveniently. Conveniently, you can't like witch hunt people after a while. Like it's going to get to a point where we're going to make people like pay to tweet. That will happen. Eventually, more sooner than you think. But like it's funny now because like at the height of like where we are with technology, it's gonna get to a point where you can't even afford the technology that that makes life easy, because you have to pay for that thing to make life easy. So like if you're like and the funniest thing about the AI thing, it might turn to Netflix, right? everything instant. Because if they're gonna pay you the tweet, you don't think they're gonna charge you to get a Batman, like do a AI art? Like it's $5 a month or $3 a month, or I think the highest is 10, right? That's gonna get to like $40, $50, $60 a month. You might just get a real dude. they'll usually like do it for cheaper too, like especially if you're not a known artist. Like you'd be surprised how some people will sell their souls to like do like a 6-hour drawing for like $30. you'd be really surprised on how desperate things get. You gotta, get some clients, right? So, you're better off just paying someone on Fiverr, right? They're not gonna like. Maybe they like the great thing is that I think most artists will undermine the AI art, right? Because it's gonna get expensive. It's gonna turn to Netflix. Remember when Netflix first started and they said this is gonna be the new way to watch movies? It's only $3 a month, and I get all these movies for $3 a month. That was the thing, right? Now everyone's, hey, I hate Netflix. They don't have the movies and it's too expensive, and like it was $3 a month when it first came around. Remember that? It was like $3.50 something.
I could see them using AI for some cartoons, but not all of them, TBH.
No, because like that. See, that's the thing. Like I said, it's gonna get expensive. They're gonna let you like especially for the normie, right? They're not gonna let you make anything. Like that's the funniest part, right? So like like in I don't know if most of you know, but like I'm pretty sure majority of you know, if you're on Twitter, right? If you want a certain like if you want the gold, what do you call it, the badge, the blue badge, the check mark, you have to pay a certain like monthly fee for it, right? But if you're a business, you have to pay for the golden one. You have to pay like a certain amount, right? And you get perks for being a business, right? So what's gonna happen is that if AI art becomes extremely popular to the point that people are just using it, it's gonna get expensive. They're just going to make it expensive, not because they can't do it or it's hard for them to keep production up. It's just going to be like, well, you guys are addicted to this thing, and since you're too addicted and you don't have the time and talent to do it, instead of just draw your own damn stuff, we're just going to charge you more for the wazoo because we can, not because we're being ethical. Remember, these people wasn't ethical in the first place. If they were, they wouldn't even do this, right? But because they want to make a profit off you and you want to use the AI art for your YouTube channel, or case may be, it becomes like a weird parasitic like relationship with each other, because now you're like, I don't have an artist, I don't have time to pay an artist, and I don't want to work with other people, so I have to pay this service to make the art that I want, but they're just as expensive as the non-expensive artists now. It's going to put artists back on the map in a strange way, if you think of it in that sense. Because it's not going to stay at like $5 or $10 a month. You honestly believe that this AI thing that people are just easy for people to just get their hands on is going to stay that way? No, bro. You're a gerbil. You're literally a gerbil in the maze. That's what it is. You're a testing subject. And once this thing gets so good to the point that it can replicate human stuff, it's going to be so expensive to have. Think about it. It's going to be cheap for companies, probably. For you to get a better price, you have to be a company, right? So that's what's going to happen. Same thing like the Twitter badge and stuff like that. Like, it is what it is. That's what's going to happen. It's not going to stay at $10 a month. We all thought Netflix was going to be $3 a month or even $5 a month. It's now $20. I think, if I remember, it's $20 to have Netflix. I think it's almost $20 to have Disney Plus. Is it not? It's literally you're almost buying cable. It's almost going back to the number of what cable used to be, right? Slowly, surely, but slowly, or more faster than you think. So, in a weird way, for AI to exist, it's going to hurt and benefit artists at the same exact time, financially and non-financially, in a very strange way.
Art on the cover of their new book,
Remember,
DCC.
remember, YouTube used to be free all the time. There's going to be a time where you have to pay to upload your video. That day may come one day. Maybe not on YouTube, maybe another platform. Maybe one day when YouTube just disappears tomorrow. In the future, there's going to be a time where you have to pay to upload a video in hopes that in a strange and sickening way, that's going to make people more creative, because what that's going to do is be like, okay, I have to pay a certain monthly fee to upload my video, right? So what's going to happen is, if you want the benefits of getting like that sweet YouTube money or future YouTube money, you have to be creative as hell. Because if you're not creative and you just post up a stupid video, there's a lot of kids just posting. There was a lot of people who was posting videos back in the day in 05, just posting up anything because they didn't think much of it. Now, in the future now, in 2020 something, or a lot further down, we may have to actually pay for your YouTube uploads. And if that happens, you better make a good YouTube video to justify that whatever price you're paying for. Because that one day, that price is not going to be $3 a month to upload your video. It's going to be $10 a month. That's how it starts. It starts very free. Then eventually says, oh, we have this feature where it's plus, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like $3 to $5 a month if you want extra features as a creator. And then next thing you know, those extra features become the standard, and then you paying for the free is going to be gone. That's how it works. That's how all they work. So when you see like a new streaming service saying, oh, these new free shows for free, that's only for a time, for a couple of months to a year, maybe, if they have the money to handle it. And then when they got you guys hooked on a show, that's when they're going to start making you pay.
Cinematic universe, a celebration of DC at the movies, probably. But these are actually representations of production stills from different DC movies. Yeah, that's that's pretty fakey. Well, they're using AI detectors, and this is interesting because AI detectors are not 100% accurate, and I think Rich actually does bring this up in the article.
Yeah,
because
that's kind of funny. I always thought that, is the AI detector actually good at AI detecting? I should do a video on that. I should do a video on if the AI detector is legit.
Roses are roses, baby.
That would be really funny. Roses on roses.
Roses are roses, baby.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Roses are roses, baby.
I should do that one day. See the AI detector.
Roses
works.
are roses, baby.
Like, I take my own artwork that
roses
I
drew
roses, and then just put it through an AI detector to see if it even reads it right.
Roses are roses, baby.
It'd be funny if it says AI. That'd be so funny.
Baby.
It'll prove to you how much this is a joke.
Roses are roses, baby.
Then that means the idea of genuineness is just out. It's more out the window than you think.
You know, different AI detectors work differently.
Raiga Samurai.
And,
LOL.
you know, this one, AI probability 0.5, AI probability 42, but we saw the original sketches. Basically, nobody knows what right now. Yeah, no, I agree.
You should.
I should do a video on that. I'm dead serious. I might do a video on that. I'm so tempted to do that.
I agree do a video on that nobody really knows who's using it. I mean, some of it's obvious, but again, my takeaway from this is just how good AI has gotten in such a short period of time that it is hard to tell. There should be no question, you know, and it could be even that artists are, you know, pulling AI assets or elements into their art. The entire piece isn't generated via AI.
I wouldn't bother.
And I think at that point, it's fair to say, well, this is a, you know, piece of digital art. and how it was actually put together, you know, might be a combination of like, hey, the
the
foreground characters.
Ryo,
I've seen some artwork.
Right.
Like this is a good
Hyro,
example. You're gonna see hybrid
Thank you,
art.
Hyro. I appreciate the roses. Thank you.
This is traditional art, the characters with AI art in the background. And I think we're going to see more of this kind of thing where a lot of the tedious stuff, like backgrounds and cityscapes, and, you know, look, even in manga, they do cheat, I guess, for lack of a better term. I mean, if you've ever looked at manga and it's obvious that they you know, kind of Xeroxed cityscapes. Some older Marvel comics, I know Tom McFarlane's done it before too, but they would actually do Zipatone, you know, photographs, and so it is a way to cut some corners. And like, if it doesn't really do anything for the story, like, okay, cool, I can spend, you know, 3 days drawing these beautiful cityscapes, or I can just input the cityscapes into the computer and just, you know, maybe have a 3D model or something that speeds the process up, because the reader is not going to care at the end of the day.
You know, and that's one of those things I don't really mind too much. Like when it comes to like background work, where if the if the background, like, okay, say you're watching a cartoon and you know the background are usually just kind of like a backdrop, not really a background, but a backdrop. I don't really mind if you use AI for that to a certain extent, especially if you're going to fix it up. Because if it's like a sky in the background, right, and it's like a cartoon, like if you saw that Jimmy Neutron fan-made video, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it at least one time now from Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever you saw it from. You can look at or Instagram. There's a video. You see the background between Jimmy and like Sheen and Carl. The backdrop of the background is not that important, other than what Carl's sitting on. That part is actually shown. That's drawn, I believe. Everything else is kind of like this one-dimensional color to let the characters pop out on top of the background, right? I don't mind if you use AI for that, because it's just a meaningless task that needs to be gone, right? No one wants to deal with that, unless if you're a background artist and you're willing to do it, then that's one thing. But like, if you can't afford one, that's one thing. But like, something like drawing a character frame by frame is a little different. I think it's a little different. It's just different to me, I think. I think when it comes to like meaningless tasks like background stuff, I don't think it's that serious. But I understand background artist is an important thing, so like that also plays.
Emma, go to sleep. I'll see you next live.
Okay, Emma, have a great night, hon. Be safe and have a great night.
The reader probably won't
Thank
care.
you for coming. I appreciate you.
Other artists will, because they'll be like, well, you completely fudged this. And I think that's where most of the criticism, I'm gonna be honest, I think most of the criticism is coming from other artists, because it is kind of like, hey, you cheated, you know, this isn't fair. I'm doing everything by hand. And is it fair? No, it's not fair, but I think it is what it is. And we're going to see more of this. And I think within the next 2 or 3 years, it might be very common to see Marvel and DC comics generated in part or completely with AI artwork. And I've said before, my own usage, I would consider it if I could basically train the AI to draw in my style and draw the way that I would draw things, but preferably better, you know? And then like, I just use that, and then somehow you're able to lock that to yourself, right? Like an NFT or something that like, this is my trained.
And yeah, you're walking on a very fine line on that one. Bro's walking a very fine. Even that's a hot take, even for me. I don't know about that one, bro. I don't know about that one. And I know he can draw, because he said he has drawn for Disney and for, I think, Marvel before. I think one of them. But like that's I don't think I agree with that one, Neon. But I understand people's opinions to themselves. I don't think you're evil for saying that. I'd rather you say it than not say it. But like, Jesus, I don't know about that one, bro. I don't know about that one. That's a hard sell for me. Have the AI like lock into my art style. I don't know about that one, bro. I don't know about that one. So you're because what you're literally saying, you're copywriting an art style, right? In that sense, you're not copywriting, but you're duplicating an art style that is to your own, right? So it's not even like an art style's not an art style anymore. It's just like now it's just a generated art style now for the robot to use, and God forbid you die, right?
To draw in our own art style? Oh heck no. That would take way too long to get the AI to even understand the style.
No, I don't think so.
It's impossible.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because I don't think so because it is very smart, right? It just needs what it does. It looks at very similar work, right? So what I'm saying is this: like when the people was trying to figure out if the dude who used the AI to use the Joker piece that he was talking about, people got very similar outcomes to the one that the dude had, right? So if it can lock in onto your art style, is it really yours anymore from that point? Because if anyone can because if you die tomorrow, and let's just say some evil company somehow managed to get Congress to like pass a bill where you can use people's art styles unwillingly, then they can take your art style, Ari, and just use it for whatever it means, and there's nothing you can do. You can't tell if you drew it or not anymore. It's just like that's gonna be problematic. It's not an art style anymore. It's not yours. It's theirs now. And if you dare draw anything close to what you draw like in a normal fashion, they can sue you. You see how that's problematic? You just literally banned yourself from drawing, because if you have a specific way of drawing and that can be duplicated and that could be somewhat, copyrighted down the line, you can't draw, because anything you draw will be problematic.
Ariane. I see it.
You see?
That's very problematic.
You see?
LOL.
You see that? You gotta think. You gotta see like in the far future type. So you gotta see the bigger picture. I don't think it'll be too. Remember, it can do this, and this art thing, this AI thing has only been around for like what, 2 years now, 3 years now, since its inception. It's been like 3 years now. A little before the pandemic, or a little after, I think. Before or after, I don't remember. But like it was pretty recent. It can do this. What can it do in 10 years? What can it do in 20 years? What can it do in 40 years? 50, 60, 70 years from now? You know what I'm saying? And remember, we can generate AI a whole video with a human in it, and it looks really convincing. I don't know if you remember seeing that video we did with the Sora video from way back when they were showing off how you can make a video with just a prompt, and we almost got convincing humans on that with a little, uncanny valleyness, but like it's convincing to the non-creative individual,
You probably could get people to share your art style, but you'd need like an agreement or statement allowing another artist to use the same art style.
I
forgot
tell
what
you,
they call it.
I tell you that as much as that might, this is what happens when something like that makes too much sense. That's when it gets perverse fast. When it makes too much sense, that's when it's like, uh-oh. No, they're not gonna go down because it makes too much sense. When it makes too much sense, they don't go down that route. They don't. They do the opposite.
AI that draws like this, nobody else can use this specific style or whatever it is, but I don't think that's realistic. I mean, and technically nobody can like own a style anyway, so it's gonna be really interesting.
You say that now
going forward, guys.
I wouldn't put it behind them.
I'm gonna wrap this one up. There it is. DC Comics now also accused of using AI art. Wizards of the Coast accused of using AI art, and this isn't going to end anytime soon. In fact, I think as the comic book industry contracts, we're going to see a lot more accusations like this from artists who are not on board with AI because literally their livelihoods are disappearing, getting snapped. I think we're going to have fewer artists making more books probably with the help of AI. That's what the future is going to look like. You don't have to like it. I'm just saying that's what's probably going to happen. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
All right. So that was the whole DC Comic Triggers AI art thing from Clownfish TV. So if you guys enjoy this, like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment, and I'll see you guys next one. Sorry for at the very beginning that you guys didn't hear the first, I think it was 5 to 10 minutes of it. I don't know if I'm going to put that in there, but if I do, then I do. I'm sorry. It was the first 10 minutes. You can skip to it. I even put a thing in it, some type of timestamp. But it was part of the video, but, it happens. So yeah, so with that said, I'll see you guys next one. Alright, so this one's from ANIMEART. It says Warhammer retconned Emperor of Mankind into that word, GQ, if you can get what I'm trying to say. Henry Cavill, future goes woke. Oh no.
It's ANIMEART, and the Warhammer 40k saga keeps trucking away ever so, with things moving incredibly fast. From a fan website calling other fans bigots for not accepting the female custodian retcon to claiming the Emperor of Mankind is gender fluid. Things are moving fast here, and beyond the Warhammer news, I want to also delve into that Kotaku article about Hades 2, which shows how hypocritical they are when it comes to sexy female characters in video games. But first, let's start with a fan website called
Samurai.
Bell of Lost Souls.
Oh yeah, he was on
don't harass
Flashcast again
anyone
Saturday.
Here, but let's simply dissect what they say and stay calm about it. Remember, we can't stoop down to these people's levels, we have to rise above it. Anyway, that article is titled, Warhammer 40k Only Bigots Hate Female Adeptus Custodians. This article was recently written by Abe Apfel, who claims that anyone who stands against these changes is nothing short of a bigot and should not be associating themselves
with the same playbook. It's always the same playbook. Have you noticed that? When there's any opposition to a rule change, there's some type of idiot that's going to say the same typical scenario stuff. You're some type of ist. You're some type of ism or something.
At all. Most of what they say in the article is a giant word salad, but there are some parts where the writer claims that many concepts within 40k wouldn't exist without the help of women such as the Space Marines. And while he may be right that female scientists and characters like Erda or Selenar were important to not only things like Space Marines but Primarchs, this doesn't support the concept that because female characters were involved with something, they should now be included as units within the said faction. We already know that Games Workshop has tried in the past to implement female variants to factions when it came to commercial products, but it largely never worked out. Another article, this time from PC Gamer, attempts to dunk on the existing player base already, which is titled, Warhammer 40k has slightly more women in it now and the neckbeards aren't happy. This article, like the Bell of Lost Souls one, also attempts to paint the paying customer and fans of 40k as bigots who are not willing to accept things or change with the times. But at least in the PC Gamer article, they kind of prove the point of the...
You want to be a software engineer, right?
Okay, I sent it to you.
Okay, I'll see it after this video.
There's one part where they cite the former head of IP at Games Workshop, which was spearheaded by a man named Alan Moret. He's since left the company in the following years, but he was asked via Facebook a while back why there aren't any female Space Marines. And his response to why female Space Marines don't exist really is the exact same reason as to why Games Workshop for decades hasn't really entertained the idea of female custodians. But anyway, here's what he said, and I quote, "The reason there aren't female Space Marines has nothing to do with lore or background or character of Marines. It's to do with the simple logistics of making miniatures and selling miniatures." In the 1980s, Games Workshop sold miniatures in sets called blister packs. The intention was that upwards of 25% of all models would be female. That didn't last because retailers kept complaining to us that customers weren't buying the female models and could we not include any in their restocks. All the background fluff about why there are only male Marines is there to justify a commercial logistics issue, end quote. From the mouth of the guy who was the head of IP at Games Workshop themselves, he explains it in simple terms as to why Space Marines or custodians were never female. It was because, obviously, there was never a demand for it from the fan base.
But typically, no. What the hell? Oh, I just realized, hey, what the hell? What are you doing? There you go. Sorry about that. It was part of the video.
And this was well before the term woke or anything really even existed within the cultural zeitgeist.
The whole page looks like
these were the fans that bought these miniatures and supported Games Workshop well before things like being a geek was cool or anything like it is now. So even back then, without the predisposed notion of wokeness or forced diversity even being a thing, the fan base rejected these concepts, and for good reason. You can't really say these fans from decades ago were somehow alt-right or anything either. They were simply fans of something when things were arguably much simpler than they are now. Which is why it's so puzzling these days for companies wanting to push concepts into these markets and franchises when they are clearly not being accepted now or even back then. Nobody wants
going pretty well
or custodians. The only people that want it are people.
Just to be clear, we're doing the we call it the reaction. So if you come over here, you can. We're just doing a video right now.
Who won't buy your product anyway. The truth is that the majority of the time when these groups who advocate for diversity and inclusion cry from the rooftops that they want more forced diversity, they rarely ever support the things they demand when it comes to actually opening their wallets. Maybe it's because they're all self-proclaimed communists and therefore have the brain-rotted opinion that they shouldn't have to work in order to live, and believe the government should fulfill their every need, and we know there's a ton of them who unironically do think that way. But the truth is that if these things like forced diversity or pushing for female variants and things that are objectively male-dominated is wanted, then they would sell well. But as we know, many products, like even games, don't sell well or even do well critically when they champion these ideas. Forspoken, Suicide Squad, Validated, more are just games that push the idea of female representation and diversity.
Wokeism is like, it's like your younger sibling who follows you around and wants to be everywhere you want to be, but you can't do what you please because they're with you, and you have to do everything with them or you get in trouble. So like if you don't want to include your brother or your little sister with you, you're the a-hole, right? You have to demand to your sister or brother's wantings as the older brother because you was here first. So because you was here first, you have to do everything in your power to make them feel appeased or make them feel safe or make them feel catered to in some form. And if you go against this, you get the hammer of dawn upon you by your parents, i.e. the law. Because the law lets the little one do whatever they please, because when you was growing up, you didn't get to do whatever you please, right? You didn't get the same privileges as they did. So whenever you have an opposition against the so-called people or parent that raised you, and now they have more of a parent status compared to what they did before when they had you, because there was things that you couldn't say and or do, but your younger sibling can now because of, time, because they have softened, especially if you come from a family with several brothers and sisters, you know what I'm referring to. So therefore, everything they do, you have to look out for them, and if they mess up, you mess up. And it's your fault, and you should have been watching them, and you should keep them out of harm's way even when they are a terror upon themselves. That's literally what wokeism is. It's like, it's literally protecting the idiot sibling that you don't want to deal with at all costs, because if you don't, you're not only getting blamed, but you might get punished the most out of the one who actually put you in this position in the first place, which was your parents.
Diversity. Yet when those games released, they didn't review well at all, and not enough people bought them either. Even the reviewers scored them low, the very same people who also usually push for these sorts of ideas. So like I said, if these are concepts these demographics want...
Like, if you try to tell that so-called metaphorical sibling how the world works or how you should behave, they say you're being some type of ist, right? Or you tell them there's only certain types of chromosomes or so, that you are hateful, and they're going to go to mom and dad, whoever's in vicinity, and tell them you're hurting their feelings or you're hurting their existence. You know what I'm saying? That's, and then no matter what you try to explain yourself, somehow, some way, you're going to be the one saying sorry at the end of the day. So you get so used to being punished for it that you're just, you know what? I'm not even going to argue with this idiot. I'm going to let them go. I'm going to let them do what they please. Right? And then when you let them do what they please, they end up hanging themselves in the short term because you didn't stop them, and now you're in trouble. That's what wokeism is. It's like an unwanted sibling that you did not ask to have, and you have to look out for, no matter how dumb they may be.
Which are likely the same who would say, sure, let's have female space marines and custodians. The reality is they only support the idea of it happening. But
and what's worse, if the sibling, the metaphorical sibling that is wokeism, wants what you have to give it to them now. Because if you say anything against what they want, you are the problem. This is what happens with all your franchises that you may like, right?
Raiga Samurai.
You see how this makes sense? This makes sense. If they want what you have, say for instance you're into Warhammer, right? And you like the way Warhammer was created and how it was presented to you when you grew up, and it had rules and regulations and story and stuff and lore and personality. Now your metaphorical sibling wants part of it and doesn't want to play the game by its own rules. It wants to make up its own rules. And if you don't make it easy for them to play the game, they say you're being some type of way towards them, so they're gonna go tell mom and dad. The sweet baby inks, they go to the government and complain. You tell game journalists the truth, and they call you an ist. You try to play some Warhammer, you tell them the truth, they call you an ist. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. It's funny. How ironic this sounds.
Raiga Samurai. Give it to me,
or I'm telling mom.
Call you a bigot.
Yes, technically what that is. That's technically what it is. Because when you tell them the truth, they scream and shout, call you a bunch of names, and run to your parent at the time of whatever franchise you're in, or whatever state of life you're in, and then they'll just tell either the cops, or their boss, or X, Y, and Z, and the boss will go whatever what they do, because they're such a cute little harmless thing. And remember, they're small, right? So that means they're usually under the veil of what's the term they say? Marginalized. You are marginalized because you're the minority. So because you're so small and the other one's so big and it's been here longer than you and has more sense than you, and I'm not going to put the effort to, I don't know, educate you on how your bigger brother and or sister got here or did what they had to do to stay out of trouble. No, we're going to make the big one do all the work and change the rules for the little one, because mom and dad just don't want to be bothered with it, because remember, they're the marginalized. So yeah,
told they need to spend 50 to, I don't know, 100.
Was it what Kyle said? Oh, that's right! That's right! How you want to drink your water? He's like, I can't reach. You can't reach it? Now you know how it feels to be the marginalized. Oh!
Dollars per product in order to support the very concepts they champion. They either can't afford it because they have no money because they're communists, or they're unwilling to, and they just expect the
8 sleep.
That's literally what wokeism is an unwanted sibling you need to deal with at all costs.
Why I love it so much.
Actual fans and customers of varying franchises to do the heavy lifting for them instead. But the people who do have money and support these things don't want these ideas, and they reject it. And then what these companies are left with is a product that's for nobody. that not only loses money, and then the same communist blue-haired weirdos who cry feminism throw their arms up in the air without yet again ever lifting a finger to do anything to change it. The idea of female custodians, marines, or any other forced retcon change can always be reduced to the simple concept of, does the actual market want this? And if these people maybe stopped buying overpriced lattes with stickers like Smash Capitalism slapped on their Apple MacBook Pros, they could maybe afford to support the change they want to see. But this is the problem we're at, and of course these websites are all attempting to state that it isn't their ideas or lack of support that is the problem. But it is instead you that is the problem for not willing to support their moronic crusades with your...
You see what I'm saying? If I don't support what my little brother sister's doing, all of a sudden, it's not they're the problem, you're the problem. And anything that you say from this point on, you're in contempt.
Money so they don't have to. As Belle of Lost Souls puts it, they think the only people who are against this notion are the fans themselves. Which is a bold move to make considering your website is quite literally a fan website itself, and attacking the very fans that likely support your independent slice of the internet is always a terrible idea. But here's a little of what this moronic article had to say, and I quote, "As seems to happen every time Games Workshop takes a step to be more inclusive to get more people into the hobby, some bigots on the internet are mad. In a number of online spaces, including comments on our website, people have come out to protest this update. In general, they position themselves as guardians of the lore. Maybe even a few people reading this are in this position."
How much I bet you? How much I bet you anything right now. I bet you money that once they bring female custodians into the thing, if they already haven't, they look more of a certain group of people than looking like females. I'll call it the game's uglification version, if you get what I'm saying.
You might be able to tell me how you're not a bigot.
They're not even gonna look
You
like
simply
females.
really
I
care
bet
about
you
40k lore and its
they're not gonna look
sanctity.
like females.
But you know what? Save yourself the breath and take a seat.
I
The
bet you
truth
that.
is that 40k has never cared one bit about the internal consistency of its own lore. There have been countless retcons and changes galore from the very first days of 40k.
Yeah, winking
Indeed,
face.
40k is specifically written so that there is no truth. Imperfect
It has nothing
narrators
to do
are
with
the
women.
norm, and that
I bet
everything
you.
can and often does change at any moment.
Like the argument is about women, but it's not about women. Let's just be honest here. I'm pretty sure that's what this argument is a smokescreen for something much more than we're seeing here. It has nothing to do with women. I bet you it doesn't. It's not going to include women.
And yet people still get mad about only a small subsection of these things. The arguments about caring about the lore fall apart pretty quickly when you look at what people seem to be mad about, because it always seems to be when women get introduced that you see anger popping up on the internet. Female custodians. People care about the lore all of a sudden. The Primarchs have a mother, protect the lore. Aymar Astardi was a woman, my lore. Games Workshop makes a major retcon to the entire setting, changing the timeline and lengthening the Indominus Crusade.
Okay, so if that's a problem, right? If it's a problem to not have female custodians, I know this is not the same universe or anything to the fact. So is there male? Should there be male Amazonians in Wonder Woman then? Think about it. If you're gonna take away my 40k with my lore of how this is constructed, can I take away the same thing from Wonder Woman? I bet you they'll have some crazy response to
They
this.
always get so sensitive about women. Sheesh, it's like they deliberately try to get rid of women in games sometimes.
No, they are. That's the point. That is the goal. I think ultimately what these feminists don't realize, that is the goal. The so-called patriarchy they hate so much is in their ranks. That's the funniest part. That's the ironic part. The patriarchy that they keep talking about is in their ranks. It's just not called a patriarchy. what I'm saying?
Arian, would you say their goal is working or succeeding in your opinion?
I don't think it's, I think it's kind of like, that really, I can't say yes or no. I can't say yes or no. It's kind of like 50-50 at this moment, at this point. It's kind of 50-50. Because it's like people are waking up to this, but a lot of them are scared to talk against it. Right? And there's more, and the people who talk for it is either two people. They genuinely believe what they're saying is true, or they're using that as an example, using that fear to justify being on their side because they don't want no opposition in the slightest. It's like this. What's easier?
Arian. So it's kind of working, but it's also backfiring.
Yeah,
in a sense, right?
Yeah, it's like it's equaling out. So like it's like this. If you know the neighborhood bullies in the area or the school bullies in the area, what's worse? Being opposition to that bully who can always constantly fight you every day, or you can be friends with the bully out of fear. Right? You can be friends with the bully. The bully may not bully you as much now because you're friends with that individual, but he's not going to not be rude to you. Remember, he's the bully in the situation. So he's not going to be nice to you because you're friends with him. You're just not getting bullied as much. Right? So that's that psychology nonsense in it. It's like, I'd rather get a punch in the face than get beat up.
It must be pretty tough for them to find a happy medium if it's 50-50ths.
No, it's not. It's not. That's the thing. You can't... That's the thing. 50-50 is not a good enough reason. That's why they say people who are woke are clinically and proven to be unhappy. Because when you side with wokeism because you're afraid, you're not going to be happy.
True, but you're still getting bullied.
Yeah, you're still getting bullied. You're just not getting bullied as much. So it's still an inconvenience on you, on your behalf. So the thing is, what you should do is be the opposition towards the bully. And that might sound scary because it is, because you're getting the full wrath of said bully, right? But if you get the full wrath and still live, it's not that bad when you think about it. Because if you still live throughout the full wrath, that's all he can do. And once you live through that full wrath, what else can he really do to you? Nothing. So from that point on, you can actually go against the bully because you know what he's actually capable of because you went through it already. Right? So when you went through it, he's not as problematic in your head because you can always say, you know what? He beat me up, right? I survived. Right? Why don't I fight back? Fight for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Fight for yourself. Why constantly be in fear? Right? It sucks to be in fear because you're never being your true self. You're always constantly in fear. This is why it's better to be someone who's out. I rather someone who's out about their orientation than them pretending to be in their orientation. Because if they're pretending to be in an orientation, they're never happy.
Raiga Samurai. Honestly, it mostly works out when you stand up to bullies.
Yes, it usually works out because now the bully knows you're not picking up with their BS, right? Hey, Polar, what's going on? You're not dealing with their BS. So when you're not dealing with, when you know their full extent, it's not as bad as you truly think. It's only as bad as you make it out to be in your head. Right? It's like if you fail a test. The worst thing is to fail.
At this point, I can't tell if people are coping with it or if they're actually trying to fix the problem, to be honest with you.
Actually, it's a bit of both.
I thought people was coping for it.
No, it's a bit of both. Because now people are saying, oh, we can say certain things now. But those same people back then were saying, oh, you're at X, Y, and Z because you are telling the truth or you're being real or the case may be, right? Like simple truths. It's not like you're talking about some government conspiracy nonsense. It's simple truths make you a hero now. That is sad. Simple truths. Simple stuff. There are people who actually believe 2 + 2 is equal 5 now. There's a video on it. I think Alba and Preach talked about it. Like, there's people who actually believe 2 + 2 = 5. And there's people who run with that because they don't want to upset some type of woke crazy person. That's what's happening. And that's scary. You're never truly yourself. That's why it's best to be someone who's out of their orientation to being who they are than pretending. Because when you're pretending, you're never truly your true self, and you're miserable. And when you're miserable, you do miserable things. Or you do miserable things to yourself.
That's straight Riri.
So, like, it is what it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is straight Riri. Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right, Brian. I got what you meant. It is. It is. So I'd rather be the opposition to a bully than be his friend. Because remember, you're friends with him now. And you're still kind of getting bullied. What if you say the wrong thing that you didn't think was problematic to him? Or maybe you didn't say anything problematic. He's just having a crap day and he feel like beating on you because you're his friend. You better up being the opposition at that point. Because you never tell what he's gonna do next. Because it's better to be the opposition, because when you come across your bully, you're gonna automatically think they're gonna do something to you. So it's not gonna even think that they're not gonna do something. But it's more scary when you don't think they're gonna do anything and they do something wild to you.
I wonder if they're fighting us about not wanting women in games because now people are waking up and giving them a piece of their minds.
No, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's yeah, it's sort of the same thing when people unfairly jump all over products they don't like on social media. It makes it sell better. People may have a FU mentality to bully. Yeah, that's what they did with what do you call it? Hogwarts Legacy. People who was tired of the BS that was going on said, "You know what? I'm gonna buy 5 copies." Just to be mean to the, just to stick it to the individuals who was causing this ruckus for no reason over a video game. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And after a while, people are going to eventually wake up or blow up on you. The one thing I would never really, well, I do understand it, but I don't understand this. This is a little bit of a hot topic on the bully thing, but like, school pew-pews. If you get the pew-pew part, was school pew-pews. If you get that part, you know what I'm saying. I never understand that. Why go after everyone? Why not go after the usual suspects that made you do the pew-pewing? I never understand why go after everyone. Actually, quite frank, I don't understand why go to the school and do it. Why don't you just find your bullies lacking and pew-pew? I don't understand why attack everyone.
That's what I mean. I wonder if some of the new games triggered people and that's why they've become more sensitive to women in certain games.
No, I don't think so.
That's just my thoughts on it anyway.
No, I don't think, no, games can't make you do anything. Or, I don't think so. I think it's not about women. Remember, this is not happening because women just all of a sudden got into, Warhammer. This has nothing to do with women. This is a agenda-driven talking point to infiltrate a certain popular franchise.
Right? Just follow them in the alley or something.
Yeah, it makes more sense on my behalf. Like, it doesn't make sense to go throughout the whole school. Like, why the whole school? It makes no sense to me. If they're the ones who hurt you, go after them. The only reason I can understand why they probably would go after the school is because people didn't stand up for them. But then again, they're just as scared as you are. Right? If you had the balls to go after the whole school, might as well just go after those few people who made you feel miserable. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. Like, it just seems like now you just sound like an evil person.
If they're after a franchise, which franchise in particular are they going after anyway or trying to? I'm a tad confused who they're directing this at.
Oh no, it's anything, okay. It's I want to mute. I may have to mute myself on this on TikTok. Hold on, let me mute myself because I know they're gonna be mad if I say this. Okay, I'm muted. So the pattern is the white straight male, the straight white male. That is the goal. Destigmatize or colonialize the straight white male. That's what it is. Think about it. Think of any show that had a straight white male. Are streaming, yes. It is to take away from the straight Christian white male, whether it's conservative, it doesn't matter liberal because liberals gonna go with anything. So it's the conservative straight white male who happens to have Christian-like values and any constructive values of 15 to 20 years ago. That's what it is. This is why your Batman's just crying. This is why your Superman isn't who he is. That's why his son is not who he is. This is why Wonder Woman hates all men. She's not for truth. She just hates all men. This is why anything with a straight white male as the front and center, your Spider-Mans. This is why your Spider-Mans are not liked or anything like that. Anything that started a white straight male from 70 plus years ago up to this point is being either race swapped, completely orientated, changed by orientation, or completely killed off with a whole new character of diverse, whether it's female, person of color, I hate that term, or female, person of color, or orientation, or all three at once.
Ariane. It makes sense now.
It's
now
it's
I
the
understand
focus.
this better once you explained that better.
Yes, it's the focus on the straight white male. Remember, they didn't change anything about Wonder Woman. Really, she just hates men. They didn't really change anything about Captain Marvel. They just make her look like a dude. It's to upset and erase the white man in any way that has conservative thinking in the slightest, or had any conservative values in the slightest, being a hero, doing the right thing for his country, or where the case may be. That's what this ultimately is about. What's worse is that they will outright lie and say this is the first X. Yeah, they'll say this is JR is right. He is spot on. Thank you, JR. You said it perfectly. They'll say this is the first woman of color from, let's just say, Star Wars, or person of color who wrote a Star Wars story, or something like that. If you go back in the books, you can find something. What about Blade, Black Lightning, superhero, Static Shock? You can keep going. It's usually not. It's a lie. It's a lie because for some odd reason, kids today believe the world started in 2005 and everything behind that, or no, 2000. Yeah, 2000. No. Everything started in 2000, I'll say like 13 or 14 to them. Anything after that, racism just came out of nowhere. That's why you can have people who are of color, as they say, and say like, it feels like 1950 something, when they never lived in 1950 something. They have no real clear understanding of racism. The only thing that they're exposed to is an inconvenience of race. That's what it is. It's not racism. Because true racism back in the 1940s and up, or whatever case may be, they'll bluntly talk to you and crazy.
I remember one game where they added the first black male to a game and the game went out the window. But I forget which game it was, but the game lost a lot of gamers that played their games.
I don't know what game it is then. Plus now, actually I want to read your whole thing. What is worse is that they will outright lie and say, this is the first X ever every time, like they said. Black Panther was the first black hero and Captain Marvel was the first. Yes, he said it. He said it outright. They said Black Panther was the first Marvel hero. No, he was not. What happened to Blade? Right? Blade was one of the first old G's of the Marvel, well, not cinematic universe, but Marvel heroes in like early 90s, like mid to late 90s, early 2000s. There's Spawn, Blade, what else? There's other ones I would get. Static Shock, Black Lightning, what else? There's Luke Cage. Luke Cage, I think came before Black Panther. I think. Yes, Luke Cage came in before Black Panther, I believe. Black Panther was introduced in Civil War. You see how weird this is?
I be like, really? No one isn't chasing you down, hosing you with a fire hydrant.
Yes, no one's not doing that.
Static Cage, I heard, did not go down too well.
Static Shock, you mean? Plus now all the characters have values. Static Shock has a reliable family structure and awesome dad, and address social issues without beating it over. Thank you, GR. You're the MVP, bro. I believe what you're saying, because remember they did the school pew pew episode. They did the one about the Richie's dad, the girl who was homeless on Christmas. They didn't bluntly hit you over the head like you're an idiot. They wanted you to figure it out, because back then the people who was writing Static Shock, DC, and all this stuff, they had respect towards their customers and their audience, and had enough reasoning to say, okay, my audience may not get it right now, but if they watch the episode again, they might get it again. Or when they get older, they'll understand. Just like back in the day when you watch a Looney Tunes video when you was a kid, or cartoon, there was some jokes you just didn't get because it flew over your head, but it made sense to the adults in the background. Bro, y'all talking about Static, bro, that show was so gas. Yes, yeah. It was amazing.
I remember when they announced what happened with Static Shock.
Beautiful
People
show.
Almost lost their minds when it happened too. They said it was ruined.
Yeah, beautiful show. It was messed up. This is why you can't take whatever these people say to heart anymore. Because when they say the first anything, whenever they mention the first anything that seems kind of off, just look it up yourself. 9 times out of 10, it's not true. 9 times out of 10, it's not true. Like, they keep saying, like, the first girl in gaming, first this in gaming. Those things have already been done. They just ignore it because it doesn't fit their criteria at the time. So, ultimately, to answer your question, Ari, all this wokeism isn't about social change or making things naturally progress in a way that seems genuine for either the Black community, the gay community, LGBT community, the Asian community, whatever community you think you're a part of. Has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with sex. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. What this whole shtick is about, this whole wokeism, Black Rock, Larry Fink, whoever you want to blame it on, this is ultimately to kill the straight, white, Christian, conservative male in any way possible. Because if you look at any franchises that didn't star a straight white male in it, it was not touched, or if it got touched, it got ratcheted. Like, beyond the stereotypical stuff. Like, it got ratcheted up. And I'm talking about Good Times. Yes, I'm talking about that. If you saw that trailer, you know what I'm talking about.
Be a support hero today. By using commands like /donation and /cash app.
There's a reason why they won't reboot something like Boondocks now than they did back in 2005. There's a reason why they won't there's a reason why they won't bring back The Life of Times of Jubilee. There's a reason why they won't bring back American Jake Long. There's a reason why they won't bring back what else? What's another show? El Tigre. There's a reason why they won't bring these shows back of color. These are individuals of color. Static Shock too. They downgraded Static Shock in Young Justice as a side character when he was one of the most popular characters of DC history. He was in the Batman. He was in Justice League Unlimited with Terry McGinnis in one of those episodes where Terry died in Justice League Unlimited, one of the later seasons. And he was old. He was old Static Shock with dreads and everything. He was looking awesome as hell. Like that's Virgil. Virgil looks like a boss, bro. Look like he has some major power behind him.
Ariane. That's pretty sad what they've done to those characters that children of the older generation adored. To now find them being changed must be very saddening.
Yes, they're not either. This is what they do with the kids of the shows of minorities that were there that progressives are gonna pretend that didn't exist, or they didn't say they didn't put the effort towards, right? Life of Time Jubilee, American Jake Long, Fillmore. Does anyone remember Fillmore? And that was in 2003. Fillmore. It was like a Law and Order for kids. You see why they won't touch these shows, right? Majority of these shows won't be touched. This is why they take anything that is white and either race swap it, gender swap it, or minority swap it. Look what they did to Ariel. Look what they did to Snow White. The only Disney princess that was actually left alone was technically Belle. But she got feminized. So, like, in that sense. To a certain extent. Actually, no, that's a lie. The only Disney princess that got a live action that didn't get touched.
My childhood shows have almost been ruined because of the way they changed them.
The only show that didn't get, the only movie that didn't get touched, and was totally, I think was like a 95% touch from Disney, was Cinderella. A lot of people don't remember the Cinderella live action that came out in 2013, I think. No one remembers. No one knows that even came out. For some odd reason, that one did not, no one remembers it. At all. You can type in Cinderella, live action movie, 2013 or 14 or 15. No one remembers it. And was 100% like the I think they say it was the closest thing to the cartoon original that they had. So yeah. Like, this, ultimately, to answer your question, when they say woke, it's to erase the white straight male who is either identifies conservative or Republican in the slightest. So this is why they hate movies like Mission Impossible, or I don't say that Tom Cruise is conservative, but he's pretty liberal. But like, just the fact that he's straight, white, and competent. Every time they put a straight white individual that is the main role, he's either sidelined or he's incompetent as hell. They did the Thor. They did it to the Hulk. They did it to Ant-Man. They did it to if they are competent and they can't get rid of the character that is competent, they kill him off. They just straight up kill him off. And then either replace him or just keep him dead. That's either one of those things. So yeah, that's what ultimately all this is about. Some of the people may not agree with me, that's fine, but it is what it is. That's what I've been seeing. Because a lot of shows that did exist that was for people of color, which I hate that term, does exist. We just pretend it doesn't exist. There's a lot of shows that was for people of color. I hate that term. It sounds racist in itself. That's just a new weird way of just being racist towards minorities. But anyway, the point is just like, it is what it is.
Not a peep. For that last one, Games Workshop even went back and rewrote parts of novels to correct the lore. They've never done anything like that before. An actual eraser of past lore, and yet strangely no one really cared, threatened to burn their armies in protest or quit the hobby. Until the 9th edition Imperial Guard Codex, we've never heard of the Rogel Dorn tank, and then suddenly it was there and always was there. Just like with countless other units and tanks before, no one cared about that. But do the exact same thing with a woman. We've never heard of female custodians before, and now they exist and always have, and a set of people gets really riled up. The same thing happened mere months ago with the similar introduction of female Bretonnian knights. When the same people only seem to get upset about the lore when the role of women and other minorities is getting expanded and never at any other points, it's crystal clear what these people's agenda really is and who they really are. It gets to be ignored." End quote. The writer here does say that Warhammer has retconned things in the past, and they're right, they have. However, it depends on what exactly has been retconned that determines the response per se. For example, they state in that section that Games Workshop added a new tank to the 9th edition codex called the Rogaldorn tank. But that's not exactly something that undermines or changes the entire lore. It's a tank. It's a vehicle.
Yeah, it's like saying, I retcon a certain gun. The gun has no real true significance. It's just a gun. So, like, if you don't see that gun anymore, it does everything like every other gun does. Right? Right? Like, let's just say, like, for instance, like, let's use, Gears of War. Gears of War. Remember the hammer burst? Remember the hammer burst? They used to shoot little pellets in the first game. Shoot little, like 3 pellets. Like little pellets, right? In the second game, it just shoots like a literal, like, gun. Never changed after that. Never went back to that ever again. Do you think anyone cared? No. It used to be little round pellets when they used to shoot the gun and the hammer burst. I think it was still referred as hammer burst. In the first game when it first came out, in the very first game. And then the second game, they got rid of that completely, that pellet thing, and it just became a basic gun that shoots. It's just a red gun that shoots.
Retconning the lore to say, oh, actually Space Marines always had a rocket launcher that shoots launched corpses of their enemies.
You never saw that pellet gun ever again throughout the franchise. Never again. Not even the future titles. Never again. Never.
That would actually be pretty metal now that I'm saying that, but the introduction of vehicles or tools within the arsenal of an army doesn't destroy the lore. That would ruin the lore if, say, the IP was Lord of the Rings or something. And suddenly, out of nowhere, Amazon Studios in Rings of Power Season 2 just introduced a random helicopter with a minigun attached to it. Yeah, that would probably break the lore a little because the setting is medieval fantasy, so why the hell is there a helicopter shooting bullets into orcs' heads?
Yeah, it's like if you're watching One Piece and then you see Luffy just pull out a cell phone. Not a transponder snail. He just throws out an iPhone out of nowhere, out of his pants, and just sends a text message to Zoro saying, "Where you at?" And he pulls out his cell phone out of nowhere. In a time when there's only transponder snails. That's literally the point of One Piece. It's supposed to be like this fantasy like thing going on where there's technology, but it's not like so advanced to the point that it's like it undermines too much. It kind of like draws a little bit from Dragon Ball to an extent. Like, we're kind of in the future, but not sort of. We're just advanced on a few things, but not on everything, right?
Ryaga Samurai. One Piece sponsored by Apple LOL.
Yeah, like, imagine that. That will break so much, like, at least with that, that Dragon Ball commercial with the ramen, it doesn't break Dragon Ball's lore or believability. Yeah, as a commercial, but you can believe Goku doing a commercial for ramen because he likes to eat food, right? So, like, that's kind of believable to a certain extent, given that he has tie-ins with Hercule, and he has money, I believe, still, and has fame and fortune. So it wouldn't have been too off-key to see him in a commercial for Minute Maid ramen or some crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that off-putting. Right? Like, if he was like, especially he's been champion of the tournament. So, like, if you're a champion of a tournament, you become a spokesperson for this ramen thing that sponsors us. So you get, like, a cut of the money that, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense, right? Yeah, you have Frieza dancing with him and stuff, but that's just not the point. The point is, it doesn't break the actual reality of what you're watching to the point where you're like, I'm not messing with this. This is stupid.
That kind of thing would break the lore because it goes beyond the concepts of tools and vehicles and instead introduces entirely new eras of technology to a world that hasn't attained that level of ingenuity.
Yes, it doesn't make any
sense.
sense.
Case, introducing a new version of a tank to a pre-existing faction is totally fine, or a gun or something too. because the setting and lore of Warhammer confirms that they obviously have the means and technical know-how in that particular franchise to create things like tanks. I mean, they have space travel in Warhammer, so a tank being added, it's fine. The way I look at this...
It'll be funny, it'll be like you're watching Halo, and like Master Chief, like they know how to make space travel, they can go up in space and do this extra stuff, but they don't know how to make a cell phone. They don't know how cell phones work. But they know how to work alien technology from the Covenant. Like, it will blow your mind on how any of the Marines and Master Chief himself don't know how to work a cell phone, but they can work a alien's gun and ship and vehicle, and you know, that would just make you mad a little bit.
This whole female custodian thing is that you can't just randomly add things if they go against the tenets of the lore of a franchise. For example, let's look at The Witcher. In that franchise's lore, it is distinctively stated that only men can become Witchers. It comes down to their chromosomes and biology, and the fact that the trial of grasses, which is in this case you don't know, it's a procedure combining medical and alchemical means in order to turn a human male into a supernatural killing machine. They replace a young boy's eyes with that of a cat. They inject alchemical potion mixtures into the veins of the young boys within these trials.
That sounds terrible.
In order to make their bodies far more powerful than that of an ordinary man.
That sounds terrible.
The trial of the grasses is not even guaranteed, mind you, and many of the young initiate boys end up dying before the procedure is even completed.
Whoa. See, I don't know anything about Witcher. But the fact that that sounds awesome, cool, scary, and terrifying at all at the same time. Maybe my monkey man brain is just going back to his nature to like cool things, but like that sounds awesome, cool, and terrifying. It's like being a Halo, like a Master Chief. To become a Master Chief, you have to go rigorous training and experimentation that just probably destroys and doesn't do well for your physical appearance and everything else, but it is what it is.
Witcher's world, there isn't a billion Witchers just running across the continent. But it's because of that procedure that the young boys that do survive the trial of grasses, they are bestowed with the unnatural speed, senses, and strength of various creatures. Because in a way, a Witcher is a sort of Frankensteinian being that shouldn't exist. It's also why all Witchers are sterile and cannot have children, because the poisons render their bodies unable to procreate. And it's also because of the procedures that Witchers are able to drink various potions that include letting them to see in the dark or turn their blood into boiling poison. So if a vampire bites them, for example, the vampire will burn from the inside out from consuming a Witcher's blood. All of these things are to ensure that humanity has a weapon that can appropriately face against the inhuman forces the continent is drowning in. And again, because of these procedures, not only do most young boys not make it, but young girls in general will absolutely die from the procedures as well. In my opinion, the fact men can only become Witchers is a very important part of the lore within that world. And I would like to think that if suddenly there was...
That's awesome, bro.
Always female Witchers, it would understandably piss off a lot of fans, and for good reason. So I can sympathize with the Warhammer fans out there when it comes to their want for there to be a mutual respect for the lore and principles of the franchise they love.
And this is what I'm saying. I don't know anything about Warhammer. I don't know anything about Witcher. But the thing is, I can sympathize with them because I know how your franchise was touched at one point and was destroyed by crazy individuals who don't care about the lore, who don't care about your show, who don't care about the overall premise of what you're into. They just want to destroy everything you have. I.e. the evil sibling that your parents had, the hellspawn that they had to destroy you. For whatever reason, that you have to listen to, this little demon is your boss.
Because without respect for not only the lore, but the audience at large, these franchises understandably have nothing at all. And I think when I see these fan websites or PC Gamer and others attempt to gaslight and attack fans for not wanting to accept these changes, it proves more so that these sites are about as fluid as their own morals, which is to say they don't have any and they can change them on a dime. Morals matter. It's what defines us. Spider-Man, for example, refuses to kill people. Changing that moral for him would change his character completely. The same way if Punisher suddenly decided he wanted to stop killing people and wanted to stop his crusade and become a yoga instructor, that would go against who he is as a character too.
That would be funny.
These things, they need to matter.
I will
Otherwise,
laugh.
nothing matters, and that's what these companies and their talking head pieces like this Belle of Lost Souls who hates their own audience are trying to change. Then the same Belle of Lost Souls writer attempts to use a previous article he's written as proof that Warhammer has always been woke. Back in 2023, the same writer made this article titled Warhammer 40k.
I tell you something, if you have to go prove something is woke, it probably is never woke to begin with. Think about it. It's not hard to make something woke. I think it's more hard to prove something's not woke when it was never seen as woke till now. You don't have to make something woke. Just put something woke in it, people instantly say it's woke. You don't have to unprove that it's not woke. Especially when people say it was never woke. What the hell? Imagine I try to convince you that Naruto was never woke, was always woke. You break your neck and look at me like, are you serious? You laugh in my face. Like, are you serious? Like, Naruto, really? Woke? Or like Fire Force, really? Are you serious? You break your neck so fast at that statement.
The Emperor is genderqueer and 4 other major reveals from the
God.
End and the Death Volume 1. Here's what that
You
writer
see what I'm
said
talking about, Ari? You see what I'm talking about?
in order to defend the
I bet you the individual's
Raigo
white.
Samurai. I would.
It would be wild to me. How can I prove that to you that's woke? That anime is almost the most unwokest thing ever.
that Warhammer has
That's why people gravitate to it, because they don't like wokeism. Even woke people don't like woke stuff. Let's be honest.
always been woke, and I quote, "The book reveals that the being known as the Emperor has been many different people during their life. This isn't really new knowledge. However, while we know
Right.
the being that sits the Golden Throne as he, it turns out that hasn't always been the case. In the past, the Emperor has lived both as a man and a woman, living whole lives as
Excuse
women
me?
and changing at will and need. It seems clear the Emperor is genderqueer and can live and present as they wish. How the Emperor feels isn't known, but how they present is. In fact, we don't even know for sure what gender was assigned to the Emperor at birth. In Master of Mankind, there is a section on the boy who would be king, which seems to show the Emperor as male at a young age.
You know what? I'm not gonna get into that.
However, these visions are very likely lies. In addition, they don't confirm anything about the Emperor's birth. The Emperor in many ways is above gender, and this makes sense for their character. I hope we see more like this. Interestingly, it
He
opens up
hopes.
the possibility that the Emperor could
He
become a
hopes.
woman again in the future, end quote. There's so much wrong here, but no, the Emperor of Mankind is not a woman, nor are they genderqueer, despite what this writer is saying. The fact they even try to gaslight you by saying we
this?
don't know what gender the Emperor was assigned at birth is just wrong. Look, I'm not all-knowing.
Why is the pillow square?
I'm glad you asked. Substantially.
When it comes to Warhammer, I admit that, but I think I know enough to tell you, dear viewer, that what this writer is saying is absolute nonsense. What we do know 100% is that the Emperor of Mankind is essentially a being that was created through the collective actions of human shamans. To keep it simple,
Okay.
way back in time, like we're talking even before our time right now, which in Warhammer terms, we're
Human
living in the
shamans.
past of that franchise's current events. But anyways, there were human beings
Oh
during
yeah, I forgot. There was magic in this. There's magic in this. I keep forgetting there's
the
magic.
Neolithic period of mankind's existence known as shamans. These shamans are considered to be the first human psychers. In case you don't know what a psyker is, they're basically beings who possess massive psychic powers. In a simpler term for you to understand it, imagine the psyker gene to be similar to that of Marvel's X-Men. Some
Okay.
people have the X gene, some don't. Same thing with psychers. Anyway, what these psyker shamans would do is when they were going to die, they would reincarnate into a new body, but on an individual basis, of course. But eventually, through the collective consciousness of humanity and the ever-growing threat of the warp, which is basically this other dimension outside of physical reality, where chaos and demons reside, humanity was
hell?
threatened by the existence of this warp. So because of this, it became increasingly more difficult for these shamans to reincarnate because of the presence of the warp. And some shamans couldn't reincarnate due to the human collective consciousness becoming perverted by the warp and the forces of chaos. So what the shamans all decided, who all came from different walks of life and places in the world, they gathered all together and agreed that the only way to fight back against the warp and the forces of chaos was to unite their powers to protect humanity. So all of these shamans basically gave their powers willingly into a shared pool of psychic power, I guess you could say. So these shamans took poison one by one in order to end their own lives. Okay. And they all combined their psychic powers and they all collectively reincarnated as one single being known as the New Man. Not woman, man.
Damn! He confirmed that! You can't, it's cut and dry. That's cut and dry. You can't, they didn't say being. Remember that. They didn't say new being, so they can't run with these, because you know, they like to play with words. They like to play this word game with you. They like to say, oh, they use the word being, doesn't really say it's a man. But what you see there don't look very attractive of a woman anyway. But then again, digress. They like to play these mind games with you and play word game salad with you all of a sudden because they're just good at English.
This one supreme being of incredible psychic potential would be born from an ordinary mother and father. The being was born a young boy in a Neolithic settlement of Anatolian farmers, which in terms of today's world, that would place this being's birthplace to be somewhere around modern Turkey or so. This boy would become the emperor eventually, and because this new man had all the combined psychic powers of all the previous shamans before, the new man had all of their experience, memories, and talents, and due to the incredible psychic powers they held, the new man was immortal and could not die, by normal means anyway, so death and sickness were gone from the equation. And the Emperor of Mankind would basically watch over humanity for thousands of years and could use his incredible psychic abilities to transform his image into other beings. This is where the writer attempts to state that because of this, the Emperor is genderqueer.
Okay, I see what he's trying to do. Okay, that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to pull this. See what they try to do? They give you half-truths on something that's not true. They make the half-truth the whole truth when they don't. They leave out the parts that is really important. See why context is needed? So because he started as a dude and ultimately is a dude, he's so powerful he can actually turn to other people. That doesn't make him gender whatever the hell. He just has the ability to do it because he's just that powerful. The hell?
Queer, but that's not true. It could simply
so is Mystique GQ too? Is every shapeshifter GQ then? By default? That's kind of a stereotype if you think about it. You're just making a stereotype then. And you guys hate stereotypes, right? You don't like putting label on things, right? Remember that? Remember they don't like putting label on things? This dude put a label on something that he just claims it is, right? See how insane this social justice warrior thing is dangerous as hell? Because once they say one thing, they don't really think it's going to apply back to them, right? So they'll say, oh, he can morph at any point of time, so he must be this. So if that's true, then every shapeshifter on this point must be GQ by default, because that's just how they should identify, because that's what you deem it to be. That's weird.
That the Emperor would use his psychic potential to change his appearance in order to disguise himself in order to, let's say, I don't know, get into a building or something. Or how I interpret it anyway is that the Emperor was pretty much like Professor Xavier from the X-Men. I don't know why I'm using so many X-Men references here, but whatever, it works alright. And the way I see it, the Emperor didn't change his gender or something. Instead, because he was a psychic, he would just trick the minds of the people around him to see him how he wanted to be seen. Because it's stated in his lore that the Emperor would influence events in mankind's upbringing by taking the form of different people. But again...
So the joke is that he didn't even transform. He's just genjutsuing you to see what you want. Isn't that the same thing that Kyle said? I'm not going to conform to your genjutsu.
He could simply be using his psychic powers to trick everyone's minds. After all, if the Emperor wanted you to see him look like the Big Bird from Sesame Street,
he could.
I don't think he would literally turn into Big Bird, although maybe he could, but the more likely scenario is he just told
terrifying
your brain
and funny
to see Big Bird instead. Anyway, the reason why I just decided to explain the lore of who the Emperor of Mankind is was to prove to you that this writer is a dummy and is attempting to retcon and gaslight you into believing things in order to fit agendas. The Emperor of Mankind is not genderqueer or whatever other nonsense they want to spew. The shamans are even referred to as wise men, which pretty much confirms that the psychers that became the new man were only men themselves. And even if it turns out that there were female psychers among them, the end result doesn't matter anyways. Because in the end, the being that was born in the Neolithic era of Warhammer 40k's timeline was without a doubt a human boy, and was not a girl or genderqueer to any capacity. Now, the Emperor is pretty much a being slowly rotting on a gold throne that keeps him alive, which requires thousands of psychers to be sacrificed on a daily basis in order to feed psychic energy, so that he can keep the forces of chaos away from the Imperium of Man and protect their minds from
so
the
that's
war.
what that is.
But the point here is that what this writer is attempting to do, alongside Games Workshop telling you that, oh, the lore isn't important anyway, is that they're trying to change things and have you accept it. But thankfully, fans are saying no.
But that's the same excuse. If the lore doesn't matter anyway, why are you changing in the first place? See how the lore is important? Because if it didn't, why would you change stuff?
That isn't stopping them from trying anyway. Even Gizmodo is throwing their gooch into the ring with their article titled Warhammer 40k's new culture war crossfire is a mess of its own making. A single story about female custodians has made Games Workshop.
What the hell? That looks kind of cool. Is that a paper Tommy gun?
Ryaga Samurai. You know why teach?
Yeah, we all know, yeah.
Sci-fi future, the target of grifters and elements of a toxic fan base it has
Just
failed
sad.
to stamp out. It's that sub-headline that really matters here. They want to get rid of their loyal fan base that doesn't agree with these changes and replace them. But it's clearly not working at all and they hate that, but what can you expect when the websites come to defend their every action and even fan sites are attempting to gaslight you into believing that the Emperor of Mankind is genderqueer now too?
Yeah, all of a sudden. That seems too on the nose.
This property, and the same can be said for others too. And speaking of gaslighting and changing narratives, let's quickly switch over to Kotaku, who is now being more moronic than usual. From Kotaku, there is this article titled Hades 2 is the kind of hot we need right now. And by the way, I will not be using Hades trailer footage in this part of the video because last time I did that, I got a copyright claim. Which is stupid by the way, so I'll just play random game footage in this segment instead. Don't blame me, alright? Some companies are dumb like that. Anyway, this article comes from Alyssa Mercanti of all people, who again proves that she's ideologically inept in every regard. This is also the same person who hates Eve in Stellar Blade and thinks she's gross, yet she loves and champions Hades' designs. The same person who said this on Twitter. They want their women to be virtually silent, overly sexualized dolls in video games that they can jerk off to without having to wash their ass or clip their nails.
Wow.
Or show even a single attractive quality.
That is very specific. When they get specific like that, I know you're just a hateful person. It's one thing you just make a quick stereotype. It's another thing when you get real specific on the stereotype for just to prove your legitimacy of how well you know that. That's very weird.
Is apparently saying these characters are the right...
Makes me think you dated someone who did these things.
...kind of sexy. Ah yes, an overweight man who is bound into a wheelchair who likely can't shower himself is the epitome of sexy in their eyes. Except she literally just said that she hates men who can't wash their butts or clip their nails. But the only reason she includes Hephaestus here from Hades is simply because he ticks the disabled box on her chart. Then of course there's Aphrodite, who is literally just naked with her hair covering their genitals. And I have to censor her on screen here because, fun fact, even Supergiant Games, which makes Hades 2, got their own stream banned on Twitch for apparent nudity for showing the character's full body on screen.
Are you kidding me? From Hades 2? Are you serious?
Yeah, we both know this
How does that
design
make
was
sense?
from Stellar Blade with pink hair and everything with the exact same outfit, they would hate it with a passion. But I think the reason why Aphrodite gets a pass here where Eve doesn't is pretty
because
simple.
She's
really.
part of the...
It's because Hades 2 is a Western-made game, so it magically...
LOL.
That's so weird.
Is better than Stellar Blade or any other Asian-made media because it's the West. Not to mention, Aphrodite has been getting criticism for looking T-coded, which means trans, and honestly, when I look at the character, yeah, I can see it. That's another reason likely why these journals
The
like
cheekbones.
Alyssa McContie
It's the chin and cheekbones.
while trashing Stellar Blade so much. In case you haven't noticed, everything in this video can conveniently be summed up as right versus wrong think pretty much. And it's obvious that the Western gaming sphere has a right think way when it comes to sexuality and degeneracy that must be abided by. I mean, how can you say that Eve is overly sexualized when her default outfit has her completely covered? And yet Aphrodite has no clothing on whatsoever and has just her hair covering her essentials. Which again, I can't even show the full image on YouTube for censorship reasons. It's moronic is what it is, and just like them trying to say the Emperor of Mankind is genderqueer, these are all retcons across the board. They're attempting to quietly go back and change things in order to say, well, that's how it's always been, so you can be accepting of these changes, but no, that's not how that works. And I guarantee you when Hades 2 releases, they'll shower the game with praise. And look, I love Supergiant's games because they're fun to play and they're well crafted. And I think it's unfair and eye-roll worthy that Kotaku and others are trying to use it as some sort of gotcha by pulling them into the conversation, but like I said, these same people would look right past a real person who looked like this Hephaestus. They just like the idea of it to push a narrative. Just like I said previously too, they like the idea of these changes like female custodians and so on, but they don't necessarily support these ideas with money. They just want you to buy them so that they can use it as gotchas in their articles, and that's really it. But as you can see, the gaslighting of the everyday player is nowhere nearing an end, and that's okay. That's why I'm here, fellas. To call these people out and show to you that they don't see you as anything more than a consumer meant to consume in the end. But like always, you have the power, and without your engagement, money, and support, their ideas and platforms will fail. So vote with your wallet, laugh to yourself as they fall apart, and remember that you're not crazy, you're just living in a crazy world. As always, thank you for watching.
You're not
and thanks
crazy.
to my patrons for supporting the channel too. Like, subscribe, and
The
share the
rubber
video,
room,
and have
right?
a wonderful day.
The rubber
they
room.
can gaslight and attack you all they
The
want.
rubber
You have
room.
the power, and
It's
never
always
forget
been there.
that.
You
Oh,
just
no. See
never
you in the
noticed
next
because you're crazy. Okay, that was a Dimion with the Warhammer Retcons Emperor of Mankind into GQ. I won't say it because you don't. I don't trust YouTube like that. Henry Cavill future goes woke. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and all that good stuff. Laters. All right, we're down to the. Oh, we got one more before we go to the anime stuff because I like to finish off on the anime stuff. So the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer came out just today. That's why I was glad that Bri picked me doing artwork.
Cause I'm the realiest one in the room.
Yes. Oh snap! You saw the You saw the video? I thought I was the only one who saw that video. You saw that video?
Arian. Teach, I sent that thing over to you on Discord.
Oh yes. Okay. Let me just knock this out.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm going crazy, I must be schizophrenic because I'm the realist in the room. Oh man, that video to this day is still genius. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna get to you. All right, let me just do this real quick. So Ryan Reynolds, I guess, or Marvel got together and finally put out the new Deadpool trailer. So we're gonna watch real quick. It's only 2 minutes. I'll go help Ari, and then we'll do the anime recommendations and knock them out of the park. I was gonna do 2 of them, but one's 47 minutes, so I'll save this one another day. So I'll put it in the like section. So I'll come back to it next time. But this one's 24 minutes, so we'll just knock that out of the way. So let me just erase this. Don't need this. All right, let's watch the trailer. I'll go help, and then I'll go help Ari. So let's do it.
I told you, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome anywhere. Now get the fuck out of my bar.
Just give me one more drink and then I'll leave.
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy. Here we go. Oh, whiskey dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
You don't want this.
Unless you want to take a deep breath through your fucking forehead, I suggest you reconsider. I'm about to lose everything that I've ever cared about.
Not my fucking problem.
Is that what you said when your world went to shit?
Come again.
This Wolverine let down his entire world. Want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback?
Go fuck yourself.
So this is a variant. Oh man, I'm gonna get copyrighted out of the bazoo for this. But this is a. I guess this is a variant Wolverine, which was going to happen anyway. But this is a variant Wolverine who actually wore the costume. All right.
I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do.
Trust me, kid, I'm no hero.
You were an X-Man. You were the X-Man. I am soaking wet right now.
Boys are so silly.
This is what I'm talking about.
Is that
big slow motion action sequence? Who knows if you live or die? Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Ah, they jumping into Marvel Cinematic.
Want to do some cocaine? Hey, cocaine is the one thing that Feige said is off limits.
What about Bolivian marching powder?
They know all the slang terms. They have a list.
Even snowboarding?
Even disco dust.
White girl interrupted?
Even force bump.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes! But I can't.
Okay, so that was the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. That was amazing. That's kind of cool. But I still have doubts that this is going to save the cinematic universe. I think what's going to happen, they're going to go down the route of making fun of the stuff that happened in the cinematic universe to let fans know that they're aware of certain things was not liked. 9 times out of 10, I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to save. They're going to mention Secret Wars eventually, probably at the end credits or something. Probably. But I don't think this is going to save the... I think it's going to hold off, or at least distract you enough to be excited for the next movie. Probably. Alright, so like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was fun to reacting to that, but I'm going to get copyrighted up the wazoo. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later. Okay, Ari. Let me see your drawing real quick. Let me go to it. I hate when that happens. Let me go to your drawing. Jesus Christ, I just... There you go. Okay. So let me see what you got here, Ari. Let me see what you got, hun. Okay, Teach, would it be possible to show how I would draw this hairstyle on the girl's head where she is pouring out water of the can? Okay, let me see. Oh, the hair is short, so this should be easy to deal with. So let me see. This is the same girl with the hair. The pouring thing again. I keep saving it, even though I already have it. Dumbass. Alright, let me see. Okay. Let me make this fast. So, what we should do, depending on how you drew it, we're going to... Oh, no. There we go. So, oh, too hard to see. There we go. So, what we're going to do... Let's just say this is the character. This is the head. Alright, this is technically the head. at this point of time. Okay, cool. Now, what we need to do is...
Ariane. I think what's confusing me is the hair around her ear looks like she has sideburns almost.
On which one? The one with the short hair, correct? You're referring to? Not the long hair one. I'm pretty sure you're referring to the short hair one. It is technically a sideburn because everyone has this. But for females, it's usually like this. But because her hair kind of overlaps that,
Ariane.
So it goes like this.
Yes, the one with the short hair.
Like that. So like the hair just wraps around in that sense. So like, let me go back a little bit, make it easier for you to see. Let me clean it up a little bit. Oh. Like that. We gotta make this like that. If this was like this. Good. Alright, so we did that. Now what we need to do, I'm going to use a different color so you can see it better, so it won't be a big black scribbles everywhere, is that I'm going to put the ear here.
Plus her bangs are also kinda of short. And
yes,
I wasn't sure how I'd draw it so the head looks the same size, but not sure if I'd show a little bit of the back of her hair or more of the front of her hair.
No, not really. The hair is one helmet-like looking hairstyle. So all you have to do is make sure everything follows by wrapping around like a helmet. It's technically a helmet at this point. Like that. That's it. You just curve it around and wrap it like that. Now this part here needs to be a little more fixed. Oops. I put everything on the same layer. Don't ever do that. Don't be like your teacher. Don't be like an idiot. Okay, like this.
Says okay. Thanks, this makes more sense.
I'll zoom in for you so you can see it better. There you go. And then this bump, and remember, they're not the same size because the bump here will come in, and then this bump will be a little bit lower to show. It's not like a circle. It's like a, I say like this. Like we have to have. What I'm saying is this. I'll show you in a second. Because if I explain, it's gonna sound like I'm talking Chinese or something. So like, if I put like this, see like that. Let's see these bumps here. 1, 2. They indicate the bumps. And what I mean by the bumps is that did I do it again? No. What I mean by the bumps is this is here. And this is here. So it's going in.
Says, oh yeah, I noticed that on the shorter hairstyles a lot.
Yeah, right here. Because remember, the hairstyle isn't one helmet like this because it doesn't look natural. Your hair is not like a circled thing like a helmet. When I said a helmet at first, it's just the idea of a helmet, but it's not a helmet. It's like when I taught you the idea of making a arm or a leg. Like this is the arm, but it's not supposed to be short. It's not supposed to be this straight on. It's supposed to be organic. So these bumps show the organicism of the hair. Okay? Because remember, your hair, the roots, this is where the roots are coming from. The roots come from here. This is where I would usually say the dot, because that's where everything's coming out of that dot here. Okay. make it easier to see like that. It's coming down like that. So let me...
Ariane. Would I also show a little bit of the tips of her around her neck as well? Or is the hair too short to show where her hair ends?
Well, no. Given that the hair swoops around the face, since it swoops around the face, you can show the tip if you want, but you have to make sure it swoops like that, right? So like that, and then like so. And then you just build the roots that goes down. I mean, remember, the roots are going down the hair to the back of the head like this, right? And then make it even more natural, you just put these roots like that. See what I'm saying? Like it gives you a sense of understanding of that everything's going back to the hair here.
Ariane.
Actually, the ears
so I draw the hair like she's kind of looking sort of down, correct?
That I wouldn't say the word down. It's tilted. The head is tilted. The head is tilted like this. I can tell because the eyes are based on the eyes. So let me show you. So like you see the character, right? And then I'll curve it down like this. Oop. And then the ears are here. So it's like a 3/4 tilt. Because I wouldn't say we're 3/4 tilt. We're looking at from a down, up down perspective. Because we're up in the sky looking down on her. So that means if we're up in the sky looking down at her, our horizon line's at the bottom, if I remember right. Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Says, could you show that blue way you had the hair for a quick second? Couldn't quite see it.
Like this. Just see. I will move some of this like that.
Says thanks.
Yeah. I'll even make it a little bit more tinted down so you can see the hair specifically, since that's the subject at hand. So you don't get confused with the lines too much. I'll clean it up a little bit more just to make it easier on you. Plus, not only that, the hair is being overlapped. You don't have to draw the ear. The hair overlaps the ear.
Says I didn't realize with her hair that it was curved when I looked at the reference.
Yeah, it's curved. It's never like straight down. Hair is always curving. And remember, hair is such a predictable thing. It's always on a curve. It's never straight. You never will find hair just straight down on your face or on your head. It'll always be curving somewhere down the line. Remember, this is why the idea of the circle, this is why I always say to you guys to learn how to draw at the head with a circle and then wrap it around, because if you treat it as such, it'll feel 3D. If you just put a line on it, it's going to feel awkward. That's why I sometimes do it over again to make sure I got the contouring correct, because once you get the contouring correct, it feels more 3D, as if there's something 3D is there. That's why contouring is very important. So like if I made like a
Ariane. I see. I found short hair with certain characters. Shorter hair was easier to grasp than trying to learn how to do long hair.
I said that. I said this to you. I said this to you, and many students, they'll say, how do you draw hair? I said you should always start with short hair first. Short hair is always easy to manage, and also in real life. easier to manage. It's easier to understand. It's not a lot of like it's not like when I draw a lot of anime girls and they have a bunch of this going on and blah blah blah. And,
Arian.
you know what I'm saying?
LOL face with tears of joy. It's finally kicking in. Your lessons are anyway.
I told you. It's from based on my experience. What you guys are experiencing, what I already experienced, is just I'm trying to get you guys out of that mindset. Is it does make sense in the long run. It will make sense to you. So like if I drew her with short hair, it's just like it's shorter hair is just easier to manage because with short hair, it's just like it's literally short. There's not a lot of thinking behind it. You just have to make sure it looks kind of believable to a certain extent, right? Like you just have to make sure it's coming from the root of the hair of the head, and then everything else kind of just falls into place. Even if you're doing it very wonky, like you can tell like it's hair, right? It makes sense. So that's the thing about hair. It's always easy to deal with when it's short, and then progressively go from short hair and then go to more mid-like hair, and then you go for more longer hair that like passes the tuchus. The tuchus. I don't even think TikTok and these new kids know what tuchus even is. I hope that was helpful though. So yeah, it goes from short hair to mid hair to more longer hair.
Arian. Yes, very helpful.
Yeah.
That helped a lot.
I hope that was helpful. Is there anything else you need to know? Are you good?
Arian.
You know, that's the good
yep,
news,
I'm
right?
Good.
You know what's funny? That's the good news. Alright. Good, Ari, good. Alright, guys, we're going to finish it up. We're going to do this last video here. This is something that Bry's always waiting for. It's his favorite thing about the reactions and stuff. These anime recommendations. So let's get to it. So this is from Spare Mango. I think I did videos. Oh, I did a video of him before. He was the one with all those crazy 90s like effects and stuff where I said, my God, this is disorienting, but I think that's the purpose. I remember his video. It was pretty funny. I think it was a dude who was getting cheated on by his girlfriend, but it was not really being cheated on. It was some type of convoluted reason why she left him, but it was not a cheating of reason.
Says do Gojo smiley face.
Oh, I'm already doing that. Did it twice, but was not happy with the result with this, so I'm redoing it. Funny. Anyway, so let's do this. So let's hit it.
Manga recommendation videos are all the same. We always hear about the same manga that we've known about for years. So here are some brand new, underrated manga that you need to read. Ogami is a world-class assassin, bad bitch for a wife, with a daughter and his own sidekick to assist him. He's the #1 hitman in the world, except he's divorced, lonely, never graduated middle school, and he might be slightly autistic.
Slightly? Wait, did we do this video?
Kill Blue follows a legendary hitman sent on a secret undercover mission.
I don't know if we did this video. This was 7 days ago, so I can't tell if this is new or not.
Says as a middle schooler. On a mission, Ogami gets stung with the poison.
Not you, Gojo. We're doing a reaction over here on YouTube. As you guys are watching on TikTok as I do this on live. You guys can't hear it on TikTok because
Says
TikTok
Gojo
is
is my favorite character.
You can go over here if you want to hear the video, or in case may be YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, whatever platform you want to watch it from, you can watch it, even from Twitter if you like. So yeah, we're doing anime recommendations. That's our last video for today, so we're about to finish up.
that causes his body to change back to when he was a kid. Not only does he have to deal with his undercover mission, he's also a socially awkward old man who doesn't understand socializing. His mission is to find this girl and get in close to try to infiltrate her family's company and find the cure for his illness. The issue is everyone else wants to get in too. Nah, that sounds so fucking weird. Ogami has to fight off world-class, legendary assassins with his 12-year-old body, protecting this girl from her pursuers, all the while keeping up his...
Yeah, we did this video. Yep, I remember this video. We did this. Nope, I am not going to... Arx needs to stop. Why is this 7 days ago? Did you re-upload the same video? That's weird. I really feel like you upload the same video. Why do we've seen this video. Huh. That's weird. That is so weird. Hold on. I remember this video. I'm like, wait. Manga recommendations. That one's 47 minutes. I'm not sitting there for 47 minutes.
Ariane. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask one last thing. How do I draw the eyes of her head is sort of at a tilt.
Oh, hold on. You're lucky because I have to restart. 8 manga to get into. This is from the Masked
Lord,
Man.
for only you know the way.
Okay.
No, it doesn't apply to this god.
Okay. Before we start this video, let me go straight to the answering that question because I didn't delete the video. So when you make the face, what you need to do is make sure that the eyes, remember you're wrapping the line around.
I've seen a couple of Pinterest images that show it, but they tilt the head too much.
Like this. You have to make sure that the eyes are abiding to the rules of the curve itself. Because if you don't, it's going to look like they're kind of just on there. You don't want that to happen. That's not fun. Especially you end up stylizing.
Says WSP, I'm tired even if I got 12 hours of sleep.
Hey, the great Papyrus. I hope you're having an awesome day. Sorry you got some lack of sleep. Hope you're doing well, my dude. So like, yeah, so you just curve it you have to curve this. Because you have to be respectful to that of the shape, meaning the head, or so. And then that's when... Oops. What the hell? Okay. Like
Says Kaz with these I try to draw the eyes to match the shape and size of the head.
Shape and the size of the head. Okay, so... Let me see. Here... Make the eyes. Let me show you.
Says I try drawing Gojo, but I always have trouble with the chin.
Yeah, the chin tends to be very narrow. I came to learn that very badly because with Gojo has a very small but narrow chin. You gotta make sure that's a thing. I don't even like the smile on this face. It looks really weird. It looks like from some... Ugh. Let me get rid of the mouth. No, I'm not happy with it. I don't like how it looks. I do not like how that looks.
Be a support hero today.
But anyway, so
by
like
using commands like /donation and /cash
so like
app.
Curve, wrap around like that, and then you put. I usually put eyes as a placeholder, but since you're trying to make the eyes, I don't know if you're still trying to draw the eyes like looking down. Like they do, because the eyes are like this. Okay.
Ariane. Cause sometimes I have to size the eyes down if they're too big, especially if they're on a tilt sometimes.
Yes, you have to size them down. They have to be the same size, but I wouldn't think the word size is the right word. You have to slant them. You have to slant the eyes, like slant particularly this eye here. Like this, and then make this seem more like easy to see compared to its brother here. Sometimes I look at the image and copy the chin, and it turns out good. Good. Okay, so that's pretty much what it is. You just gotta be mindful of the wrapping of the eyes here, and then be like 1 and then 2. Wrap around them and try to make 2 of them, so you try to keep them pretty consistent between each other within the circle process, the circling or the
says I'm not
contouring.
gonna lie,
Does that
Gojo
mean I
hair
should
is
draw the
pretty
box where
hard
I'd place
to
the
make.
eyes sort of curved?
If you're drawing it like a box, then it's gonna be a little more difficult. That's why I use something more rounded. But if you're not doing any preciseness, it's gonna be off anyway. If you're not using any like actual perspective lines or anything like that, it's gonna still feel off. That's why I would use something more circular. I would only use squares if we're trying to be very precise. So like
Ariane. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, I would not use a box.
Cause I learned a box method was to help align the eyes or something like that.
It can, but it's usually there for preciseness. And what's going to happen is that if you have it precise, then everything else should be just as precise. And if everything else is not as precise, if you have one thing precise, everything looks off. It's like if everything looks off, nothing looks off. But if one thing looks nice and everything looks off, everything looks off. Does that make sense? It's like this. If it's like negative and positive, it's like negative makes a positive, positive and positive makes a positive, but negative and positive make a negative. If I say that right. So like if you had one perfect eye, like if you have a perfect aligned eye, but the head is not aligned correctly, it's gonna feel off by default. But if the head is aligned and the eyes are aligned and everything's aligned correctly, it won't feel off. But if everything's aligned and the eyes are off, you'll see it.
Ariane.
Does that make sense?
Yes, much more sense now. Thanks.
That's why I would say use a circle.
If something is off, I can correct it till it looks correct.
Yeah, but that's what leads to this problem, because when you keep trying to correct it to look perfect, it might look perfect after times of correction, but now something looks off with that perfection of correction. Then you're like, this is why I did what I did. That's why I started over with this Gojo drawing and said, okay, it looks right, but I can see that the hair is off and it's just not working. So that's why I said, you know what, I'm going to start over again. I'm not going to sell this to you and not stop it till I get something that seems decent and together and in a cohesive way that feels right. Does that make sense?
Says, isn't Gojo's hair just spiky?
Yes. No. It depends on the angle. It really depends on the angle. It seems spiky based on the angling. So like for instance, his hair will look like this, right? And then one instance, his hair will look like this.
Ariane. His hair is sort of spiky, but also kind of flat and curved.
Yeah, it's curved and flat, but yet spiky. So you have to, it depends on the angling. They drew him, and this is why I said the other day. You have to draw his hair in a very specific type of way. You just can't just draw his hair, because when I was drawing him the first time, everyone kept on assuming that it was Megami. Even when I wasn't even done, they just kept on thinking it was Megami because of the hair. And I noticed that the reason why people think it's Megami because it was not as much spikes as because Megami has like 4 prongs of spikes, or 4 or 5. Gojo has 6 to 8. So you have to keep that in place. If you don't get it right, it's gonna look off. So yeah, that's where that comes in.
Ariane. LOL, I guess this sort of hair can be a little tricky to draw. Hey.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Because it has to be very I won't say the word precise. It just has to get you just gotta get the look right till it works.
Yeah, and people said last time when I made his hair, people were like,
"Is that Naruto?" Yep, I know. They like doing that, and 9 times out of 10, you're not even finished. That's the stuff that I hate too. They'll do that. They'll do that stupidness. Like, okay, let me use an example here. Like, there's okay, let me use another example as I'm showing it on the screen on phone. So, like, his hair looks like this, right? But we're looking directly at him, right? But when we're looking from more of a down angle,
that voice
says, what do you use to search up the photos? You better not be using Microsoft Bing.
Ew, no. The hell? What you take me for? What kind of artist you take me for? No, I'm using Pinterest and Google Chrome. From this angle here, his hair is going downwards with like 2 curves going up.
Ariane.
And then this one,
LMAO.
If his hair is like this, if not white, you might think it. Well, I wouldn't say Megami, but like it looks like another character. So like you have to get really specific. Like if you don't do it right, it'll look weird. See how it still look like Gojo, but it's like the hair's going down. But I can go back to that one picture here, and his hair is spiked when you look directly at him.
Says his hair looks kind of messy, though.
Yeah, that's the point. It depends on where you're watching, where you're seeing his... It depends on the angle itself. Because, like, you can have it like this, and it looks like Gojo. But you can still have it like this, and it looks like Gojo. You gotta have it really specific. In such a way, based on where the roots of the hair is coming from. Alright, so with that said, guys, this is from...
Ooh, the precision of an artist.
Yeah,
it's a love-hate relationship sometimes, LOL.
Yeah, you have no idea. Okay, this came out a day ago from the Max Man. This is new, so I know this is not going to be in this only 13 minutes, thank God. So anyway, this is 8 manga you want to read, or you may want to. It's 8 manga to get you started from the Masked Man. So let's see what he says.
I'm going to try expanding my reach a bit more by talking about some different stuff. I really want to do a video on comics soon since I've been wanting to talk about Kingdom Come and Immortal Hulk for a while now. In my efforts for world domination, I decided to try something other than manga or manhwa, and that is manhwa, but spelled differently. I selected 8 different ones that caught my eye, so by the end of this video, we will see if indeed China number 1.
China number 1!
Feng Shengji has 182 chapters, following Emperor Shang, a man that has declared war on the gods to bring them to an end and bring about the age of man, as is foretold in the prophecy. However, this is not his story, but instead his son's story, who witnesses his father be defeated by the gods and is also killed, but is given a second chance at life thanks to his mother, who's actually...
Strangers, Chapter 1.
Spring into savings this moving season with Pods. Save up to 25% now on moving and storage and see why Pods has been trusted with over 6 million moves. But don't wait. Save up to 25%.
Actually, a god in disguise.
I'm not gonna lie, The Strangers is a different type of horror. It is evil for the sake of evil. If you've seen Strangers 1 and 2, you know what I'm talking about.
Guys, awakening in a new body he's taken in as a mining slave, and so begins his journey to rise.
I think that's more terrifying than the idea of just some ghost behind the thing trying to kill you or eat you or scare you.
Up and claim vengeance on the gods who killed his mother and father. You sort of get lost in the sauce with this story by the end of the series, but looking back at where Ah Go or Wu Gang, the true main character of the story, began, he really grows as a character a lot, and on top of that, the series ends up giving a good amount of really interesting side characters with their own bones to pick with the gods. And before I say the names of my favorite characters, my Chinese pronunciation could be classified as a hate crime, so just, you know, just lower your expectations. I'll try this one. Okay, my personal favorites being Mi Tian and Xixing. The structure of the fight reminds me a lot of Bleach, where you'll have 5 to 6 fights in the story, which jumps back and forth until the climax, where you end up getting very strong.
I thought manga was strictly Korean. Am I wrong? I thought the term manga means Korean made, not Chinese made. Like you have like manga, you think Japanese. When I hear manga, I think Korean. It can also be Chinese as well? Huh. I'm not saying there's no Chinese people in there working on like a manga.
Same here.
That threw me off. He said Chinese. I was like, unless I'm just totally off. I know there's people who are Chinese who probably worked on mangas before or mangas, but like, I thought that was strictly like the idea that this is ultimately made in a Korean country type response. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, like for instance, how we do things, we call Western manga, and we have just manga. Manga usually means it comes originally from Japan because that's the first story. So we don't call it Japanese manga, we call it manga for what it is. And over here on the West, we just call it Western manga to just differentiate to distinguish from each other in that sense, so we know who's who. So we have manga, because it'd be kind of like, I guess it'd be just as weird if we said Western manga, which I guess that could be a thing, but I don't think that'll roll off the tongue the same. It still doesn't really roll off the tongue the same even as manga, but then again, it is what it is. It just kind of throws me off a little bit. I thought manga was just literally a Korean term. I didn't know it was for Chinese as well. Maybe my big American brain can't handle such things.
Turning points or resolutions for the characters. I think the artwork in this is really impressive, especially for the cover arts and the close-ups of the face, and if you like damn near non-stop action, then I think you'll love this. There were admittedly certain stretches that lost my interest for a moment, but that is bound to happen when you are focusing on characters you're yet to build an attachment towards, and the dialogue is rough, but I'll mostly attribute that to translation issues, because some lines are hilarious, especially when you read them out loud. Still, despite reading all of this for about a week, by the end of the story it felt weak by the issues, because some lines.
This pair of eyes have recorded all of my father's knowledge and wisdom. There seems to be a great message behind there must be a great message hidden within. Looks like I'll need some time to interpret everything. Wait, what? Okay, I can see how that's funny.
Lines are hilarious, especially when you read them out loud. Still, despite reading all of this for about a week, by the end of the story, it felt like this was something I had been following for a very long time.
Just to be clear. Gojo, you can come over here on YouTube and Twitch so you know what I'm talking about. So it doesn't throw you off if I'm just saying.
Says I always forget the ears, oh my god.
Raiga Samurai.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Smiling face with open mouth and
that threw me off.
Anytime there's something horror related, I feel like I've said this, but horror and I have a weird dynamic. Love reading it, hate watching it or playing it. Thankfully, I'm a manga and whatever the hell else I'm reading channel and not a gaming one. Shen Z is about a boy who has a weird dream about a ghost town before his birthday. He tells his parents and they freak out, making it way obvious that they know about this place, but they're trying to play it off. Then they end up dead as the fuck, and the weird spirit that was appearing in the boy's dream seems to be responsible. He uncovers his parents' stuff, which reveals they were a part of a research group that found a meteorite near a town that is now abandoned, so he must go there to uncover the truth. Even though this might sound interesting, it's the revelations later on that really got me hooked when he visits the town nearby. The imagery in this manga is really dope. Reminds me a bit of Ajin with the spirits design, and the art style of the characters reminds me a lot of Fujimoto's work. As a horror manhwa, I think it does a pretty good job of making me want to read the next chapter, which is very important to me if I haven't mentioned that 1,000 times before. I'm certain that this one is worth your time, especially since it's very easy to catch up to.
No idea.
Nanhao and Shang Feng is a comedy series. I covered this I think over 2 years ago, and so if you want my full thoughts or well just more of them, then you could check out this recommendation video. But it's just about two homies and their friends at school doing the dumbest of things, so it's a very easy read. There are some moments later on where the story does get pretty serious and you explore the characters, but for the most part this is just a great comedy. It's really tricky to pull off comedy in reading form sometimes, but this just nails it, mainly with the reactions of the characters for the punchline. I don't really have much more to say about this other than do yourself a favor and just have a good time. You deserve it.
The face. Okay. You got me kind of sold on that face. That was kind of funny.
I actually had no idea this was a manhwa. Aisha's Secret is another story I covered in a previous video. The art once again.
Save your time with CC character bases. Well-balanced topology. Works with ZBrush, Blender, and other 3D platforms. Fully rigged and ready for facial and body animation. Download now for free.
Okay. Aiming to add that in the video.
Again caught my eye, which you will notice is a rather common occurrence for this video, but for an 11-chapter story, this is a great murder mystery, with the sick twist as long as you don't pay attention to the cover art too much. Sorry. But this follows a girl that is killed off by a member of her family, and now that family member believes they are going insane because she shows up alive again. It's actually just one big gaslighting session. So it is uncovering the mystery of how the hell is this chick alive that is the big catch. I do feel, however, that this would benefit a lot from a novel of some sort. Really anything that expands upon some of the interesting characters we get very little time with. I tend to really like murder mysteries and thrillers, so I'll just point out my bias there. And I can't exactly remember what my feelings were about this 2 years ago, but after revisiting it, I don't think it's necessarily the best one out there, but it is so worth your time for how quick of a read it is. If you like action, then this one might tickle your fancy. City of Darkness, which follows the main character who fights other gangs, but then he's betrayed by his own boss who kills the other members of his gang and the main character's mom. So now revenge is needed as the MC assembles a crew of the best fighters to make a comeback and beat the man that took what mattered to him in life. I'll get the positives out of the way. The fights are really good and the artwork is style-wise one of my favorites ever. That is where the positives end for me.
It has a
I think a lot of the characters are cool, but that's about it.
Like has a early 80s, like a late 90s, early 80s look, the way it's drawn.
Overall, I felt the story just didn't hook me strong enough in comparison to something like Feng Shengji with the main character or any of the side characters by the time part 1 ends. And since this series has 2 parts, the main conflict is dealt with, which was my only real motivation to keep reading the series. And even then, I found the antagonist of this part of the story to be really uninteresting. I don't know if everyone will get the pro wrestling terms I'm going to use here, but the storyline had a really cool concept but failed to make me like the face enough to make me want to see him win, and it failed to make me hate the heel enough to make me want to see him lose. The conclusion was also really weak, and so overall it just failed to give me any real reason to read the other 50 chapters that exist for part 2. However, when it comes to stuff like this, I always encourage people to check it out for themselves if they think it is interesting. And if any of you have read part 2 to this and think it's a major improvement from part 1, let me know in the comments. The goal for these types of videos is to recommend stuff that catches your eye regardless of my opinion. So if you end up finding more value in this than I did, awesome.
Thank you though, I do appreciate this. Don't feel bad. Keep practicing. I know practice is really hard thing to do. It's just getting around those First game, bully.
From action to romance, Summer Bloom follows a chick who ends up working at a flower shop, and the guy that works there can bring dead flowers back to life temporarily. She is a sweet, kind individual with a lot of social awkwardness, and the male lead is a cold, harsh individual who is also very socially awkward. Misunderstandings are the name of the game with this one. This was a wholesome romance with some good mystery for the most part, but I don't think this is for me. It wasn't bad at first, but once the other romantic interest is introduced, the story just takes a turn that I couldn't really be invested in, which leads to a conclusion that was rather disappointing, although the development of the characters is solid. I just think most who will read this will be greatly interested at first, but I won't guarantee that by the end. Still, if you're new to romance series, then this one might not be a bad one to start off with, and then you can move on to some better ones. I know this isn't the most convincing, but it's worth throwing out there. Looking for Clotho. I'll completely be honest, this story had me, lost me, and then really had me. The reason why that is it switches main characters like 3 times in 7 chapters, and then the story ties them all together. So it starts off with a shut-in trying to find out about a girl in his dreams, and then eventually he finds a contract with the date of her death and a contract with his name on it also. He goes missing for a while, which causes his worried parents to call the police, which ties into this cop whose fiance went missing a long time ago, and then that ties into this guy who works for a company that ensures people die when they are supposed to. Sounds complicated? That's because it is for a bit, and it kind of gets more complicated. But this was a really good mystery that gains more clarity as it goes on, and managed to get me invested into the characters with some really strong twists and emotional scenes. I really like the subtle way it went about that at times, and if a story is able to emotionally get me connected to multiple characters that quickly, then I'm in for the ride to the end. I think the concept of an Amazon worker Grim Reaper is hilarious when I say it out loud, but presents an interesting moral dilemma with that character that allowed me to be intrigued and have a reason to see this out.
Says Goku.
Says I heard that.
Funny.
I actually saw art from this a long time ago, and I was surprised to find out that it wasn't just an amazing piece, but instead of one of many that came from a series called Ghostblade, currently at around 11 chapters. A brief summary is long ago an angel was murdered by a greedy human, which caused the angels to lash out in a grand conflict. 200 years have passed, and now in order to prevent a war, a princess who is most likely a said angel tries to turn herself in. That way war is prevented. However, before she gets the chance, she is kidnapped by the mysterious Ghostblade. We then follow the two as they travel the lands, and the mystery of both characters slowly unravels. The artwork is sensational. There isn't anything else that I've read that looks like this, and it really allows for it to be memorable just from the visuals alone. I think the storytelling at first might throw some people off, since the story seems to give so little at first, especially in terms of dialogue, which leads to small moments here and there where the character seems to say more than they should. A certain scene in particular being where Ghostblade gives his thoughts on saving a person. I felt that scene would have benefited from a more natural back and forth, but that improves quickly as the story goes on. Personally, chapters 4 and 7 were really strong chapters of showing the character's personality and building up the mystery in a visually powerful way. If there was one critique I could see for this, is that the story does move very quickly, and it can feel like there are things in between missing that would really help flesh things out more. But it is very early on, so I'm sure that will get handled later. Still, it does jump around a good amount. Overall, I'm super hooked, and there's a huge amount of potential with the characters and their dynamics, along with tying in the past, which the story opens up with in the present world today. You can check this out and support the artist via Tapas, Webtoon, and more specifically their Patreon. I need to see how this story pans out, and I'm hoping that I'm able to bring more eyes to this amazing project. Hopefully one of these was really able to catch your eye. I do want to say real quick, thank you all so much for the support on the recent videos. It's been tremendous to hear your feedback and how much you have all been enjoying them. I will say that there is a Patreon for the channel where we're doing watch parties every Sunday. We're starting to watch Dragon Ball from the very beginning. We're only about 6 episodes in, as well as it's a great way to support the channel and help things really keep going, so I'm able to, you know, put out stuff like this a little more consistently. As well as there is merch for the channel if you are interested. But now that I'm done self-plugging, thank you all again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.
Alright, that's the end of that. So, that was the end of that. 8 manga to get started from. I'm going to finish this off after this anyway. So, like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. I'll talk to you guys next time. I'm going to call it a night for tonight. Thank you guys for coming in. I'll have to get these videos ready for tomorrow or so. So with that said, have a great night, guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think tomorrow, as much as I don't want to say it, we'll have to still play the game tomorrow because we need to finish the sponsorship, even though no one I gotta do it for at least a few days more. At least a day or two more,
Samurai.
and then we'll jump off it.
Good night, everyone.
So, alright, have a great night, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Boop.